What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for joining me today. So,
No, thank you, man. It's an honor being on the Clark show, man.
yeah,
Can't get any better than that.
yeah, all like couple episodes that there are so far.
I'm
Um,
sure there'll be many more.
yeah, and like we were just talking about, though, man. Before we started this, we were talking about it's hard to do content and be in the trenches at the same time, and it goes along with this. All right, like I want to do the long form podcast style, but I've been, just crazy busy with being in the trenches of the business over the past couple of weeks with the quarantine
Yeah.
stuff. And, I'm preaching to the choir with you because I think out of every business that I personally know of, like people in the trenches and doing it, you have pivoted the most. All right, like you have completely just shifted and have turned, your business, whatever, into a whole different gear, which I love.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people just, they're scrambling to figure out what to do. With
Hmm.
us, we're still doing the same stuff, but we're just trying to maintain inventory and all that stuff. So, um, how is quarantining going for y'all and all this stuff?
It's excitingly well. Like ever since we made that pivot to do the sanitizer, it's just kind of everybody in town knows that we're doing it now, and it's just all kind of fell into place. So we've kind of put a pause button on a lot of the different businesses and or different aspects of the other businesses, and really hammered in and focused on that to kind of buy time. I mean, I kind of feel like that's what we're all doing right now, waiting on government, waiting on the okay, waiting on truth, waiting on something. So, it's just like every day, just keep your head above water and keep grinding, just
Yeah.
and buy some more time, really.
So you were doing fundraising stuff before with laundry detergent. You have, your print on demand type stuff that you're doing, which is behind you, I believe, right? Uh,
Hmm.
your wife had her boutique. I know I'm probably missing other businesses. What else is in there?
Well, the one that the sanitizer spun off from was an all natural wellness company called Route 40. And
Mm,
we started with candles, soy candles and melts, and that kind of got us our start. And then I started getting into essential oils and in aromatherapy class and all that. And then, you know, started adding more products on, and CBD became popular in 18.
yeah.
And that's when we kind of blew that up a little bit and started really uber focusing the majority of the towards 19 into 19 we really started focusing on topical pain stuff we've talked about before, the
Hmm.
pain be gone product and all that. And but along the way I do a lot of R&D and a lot of playing in my quote unquote lab. It's kind of my meditation zone, so to speak. And I had run across a lot of products when we had first gotten the news that schools were canceled. I think it was like the 15th, 17th, something like that, in March.
Yeah.
And it didn't even really dawn on me. I was just like, oh, okay, schools are canceled. And then travel baseball, basketball, softball, that's a big customer too, cheer. And then they were like, oh, they're all closing down and putting pause on it too. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is going to really sting a bit because, about 85% of our revenue right now comes in from the big business suds. And the other ones all are just, like I was telling you before, kind of between the infant, toddler, and,
Yeah.
trying to desperately trying to get up to that adolescent stage of business. And so anyway, we looked around and there was a lot of product that I was doing a lot of testing with. And fortunately now, but unfortunately for me in the past, I'm one of those that's like, oh, look at the deal on a 2-ounce bottle versus a 2-gallon bottle or a
Yeah.
two drums. So let's just get 2 drums of it. And we don't even have a product that we're making yet. Here I am testing it with like the largest quantity ever. But in this case, it came out really good because we actually had alcohol that we had put back for room spray that we were originally making a while
Mm,
back, and I mean gallons of it. We had aloe vera gel and then tons of essential oils. And so, I started looking through some of my books and just, what does it take to make a sanitizer? We threw one together. Everybody around town went crazy and wild because we formulated it to keep your skin soft afterwards, where alcohol dries it out really bad.
yeah.
And it just, it was just kind of like perfect time, perfect moment, perfect scenario where it just, maybe let's try this. We had bottles, we had everything to do it, and it seemed like the thing to do. And we sold, out of everything that we really had. And then as I kept staying up after working to make it, learning more and more about alcohol and the different this and the different that and the chemistry of and all that, which was all new to me completely. We kept making a better and a better product as it, continued to evolve. And I think we got 2 days left before it's our first official 30 days. And we've changed the recipe now 4 times. And to continue up with the CDC's new standards of how high the alcohol percentage is supposed to be, because they've changed it from 60 to 70.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's kind of across the board 75% product just seems to be the real comfort zone where everybody's at. So, it's a lot of marketing, talking, getting feedback, feeling the pulse of the market, and then jumping in that isopropyl market now, which is a commodity of its own. And you do kind of feel like Jordan Belfort on the Wolf of Wall Street there when it comes to the who's got what. You feel like you're on the floor trying to make calls and stuff all day. It's nuts. And being brand new to it, you feel about half ignorant when you call these chemical companies like, yeah, do you guys have any isopropyl alcohol? Oh, one of you guys. Okay. So yeah, we've been able to navigate that and develop some cool relationships that we're still in prospective mode of how long this sanitizer thing is going to be a product that's viable. Obviously sanitizer's been around for a long time.
It looks like we froze up.
We're gonna get froze up again.
Yeah,
There we go.
Oh, looks like it's still. Yeah, there we go.
Still like there we go.
Yeah. So I missed what you said at the end. You said you're going to see how long viable, sanitizer is and all that.
We're just not really, at this point, it's kind of like we're talking being it's just every articles and some things that could help with this. But at this point, I think it's day to day and hour to hour, and every purchase is a gamble because you don't know when you're committing to these drums of alcohol that are going to get paid for right now, shipped next week. Things are changing in the matter of hours and 2 or 3 phone calls between 100 bottles and 10,000 that you need to put out. And we're doing this, I think you've probably seen on social, a lot of this we're doing is just with me and my family. My 3 kids and my wife are pretty much doing about 80% of the work, maybe 90% of the work, which is cool. It's been a nice little learning lesson for them to learn what dad does, to kind of put food on the table and the grind and a lot more in the trenches kind of feel and look at that. Because I've never really involved them a whole lot in the business aspect, maybe an errand here or a chore there, but not an actual job and a role and a position. And I'll be honest, man, they have absolutely killed it. I mean, they have stepped up, and my oldest boy has kind of taken the reins of a manager, and telling the girls what to do and telling me how many bottles they produced and learning the recipe. It's neat. It's really cool to see it. So we'll see how long this goes, but it definitely gives them kind of a little hobby and a money making thing, along with a lot of cool experiences. They'll know by the end of this, I'm sure, whether they want to ever be employed by their self or not. Hopefully, it doesn't turn them completely away to it, right?
Yeah. Well, I do see this being something that's going to last for at least through the end of the year, if not into the end of next year. All right, like I don't know anything, just like everyone else out there, right? I'm just
right.
Whatever I've come across is the information I know. So, but one thing I've seen is like everything kind of goes in waves of 3. All right, so like to me, this would be the first wave. And so that's just looking at the history of different viruses and stuff that have come along. So, and then on top of that, right, I think y'all have made such an impression on your local community because it seems like y'all can't keep that stuff in stock just around there without even branching out. I know you branched out too. So, it might be something like that. Go ahead.
We had a really good local partner named Gilman's, and that's like a Do It Best franchise. And they have 12 stores, and we've got a relationship with the manager and one of the guys that work there, and they had saw that we had put this sanitizer out and they were getting calls for it, so they reached out and said, hey, can you guys hook up with us and let us help you get rid of some of that. We've been trying to get in the doors with them with our other paint products for construction workers and stuff for like 6 months, and it's just never been a top priority to them, and I get it. But the owner of the company actually saw some of our social media that was out there on it, and we were doing it for the first responders first and all that, and I think he just liked this, kind of the play and liked the pivot, and and definitely that we could involve them. And so we worked it out to actually get it to all 12 of their stores. And we custom made labels for them with the little Gilman's, logo on it. And, on a fly, of course, it wasn't probably the most professional thing I've ever put out, but without a design team at the time, I did what I could on our label maker. But they were real appreciative of it, and made the comment, after this is all said and done, no question, we're sitting down and let's get your other products in all 12 of our stores. So, just that cool little pivot. Not only was it done in survival mode for us, because that was like the only viable business that wasn't being put to bed, put on pause. Because
Yeah.
here, the stay at home order here is a little hard to understand, but we're trying to not push that envelope. But when we're delivering sanitizers to nursing homes, and I mean, that's about as essential as you can
Oh,
get
definitely.
when it comes to this thing. So it kind of gave us that blanket okay to continue to work and do something. So um, very, very happy for that. But the other businesses, pretty much got put on a temporary pause. And good news is the customers were all very cool about it. All the customers we had in, the future ones are all like, hey, yeah, we're still good for the fall pending. So I don't think we're going to end up losing anything out of it. It's just, again, buying time. Our
Yeah.
March and our April push there that normally puts us in a good spot before the summer when the schools go out isn't there. But then the sanitizer thing was, which never would have been there. So I think as long as we can just pick from the four different options that we have as far
Yeah.
as companies to ride this wave, and everybody's, what's acceptable. Giving an example, we designed a bunch of, we survived to, COVID 2020, we survived the toilet bowl apocalypse. And we've got all these t-shirts, but, as the death count started to climb, I made the call 2 weeks ago that I didn't think it was appropriate to start putting those things out yet, as people were dying in these crazy numbers. So, it's just playing that. You have an idea, you go with it real quick, and then as more data comes in, you kind of gotta. It's like a constant pivot. I feel like a center for the Utah Jazz that's in training right now, like just constantly pivoting. So yeah, it's not one pivot; it's how many pivots and how many times a day.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of trying to play that. But back to your point with the content, man, it's like taking pictures, taking video, thinking this will be really cool because I want to take everybody on this journey. And then by 11:30, when you get home and you can't even keep, your eyes open and your legs won't work going up the stairs, that's the last thing you want to try to do is put a video together of all the clips. But hopefully I can catch that up this weekend because I do love doing that part when I can. It's
Yeah.
to get and that's what works. I mean, when you're explaining it and taking people on that journey, they resonate with that. They want to be a part and they want to help support. So the community's been awesome for that, I will say. But
Yeah. I think that's, one thing I was thinking about this morning with this whole situation. As like, there's some good that's come out of this, right? Like,
yeah,
take away the death toll, all that. Yeah, that's bad. But you're seeing how companies treat their employees, right? There's other companies that are just shutting the door on them, kicking them to the curb, saying,
hmm
have a good life, right? They have money in the bank, they don't care. There's other companies that are pivoting, doing good stuff in the community like y'all are, right? Making sanitizer, delivering it to the nursing homes, the first responders. People are doing that here, right? All kinds of the distilleries and all that.
hmm
That's all they're doing
yeah,
now is hand sanitizer,
yep,
right? And so you're seeing communities come together, supporting each other, supporting local, but you're also seeing the negative, what the people who, like I said, who just don't care. So um, our community here is just rally together, right? Like local restaurants are picking up and all kinds of e-commerce companies that are around here are like donating to different restaurants just to keep
yeah.
everyone, active and up. And it's really just cool to see all around. But
It is. There's
yeah.
so much of that I pay attention a lot to that Nashville scene because hey, I love it. I'm kind of jealous that I don't live somewhere closer, but because it's like all my peeps are there now, and I'm up here in Indiana. But we love traveling down that way and seeing all the posts of what you guys are all doing down there. It's really cool. It's very similar to what's going on up here.
Mhm.
What I was going to ask you, have you seen kind of like that big push up front where it was like share, 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 everybody's doing all these great things, and now I kind of almost feel like it's starting to become a little feel of the norm. Like curbside pickup at these restaurants that are still open is kind of the norm now.
Yeah.
The obvious delivery services that never did, but always had that opportunity. They could have always delivered or had curbside to make this customer experience better.
Yeah.
I think this puts them all in a great spot where they were forced to evolve. And once they do that, they can kind of maybe look at that as a bit of a norm, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Like, all the restaurants. Like, we're gonna order from a local restaurant that's on the other side of town tonight. We did a
Hmm.
couple of weeks ago, and they always had that option, and they are
Yeah.
crushing it. I mean, crushing it right now. They can't
Yep.
even stay enough and busy. And we keep supporting them because they keep taking free food to the hospitals and the first responders
Yeah.
because they have so much extra business, and it's just doing that. There's restaurants that are doing subdivision nights. I don't know if y'all are doing anything
I
like that
hadn't
up
heard of
there.
that. That's cool.
So we have a couple of big subdivisions. Like, mine's very small. I live in kind of like a retirement community. It's like one of the youngest people around here. Um,
Yeah.
but it's under 100 houses for a subdivision. It's really small. So we can't do that. But the bigger ones, they'll go have like specials on certain nights of the week for that subdivision. So they'll have like, $20, you get a huge barbecue meal for a barbecue restaurant or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's limited options,
Yeah.
right? Like, they only give you 3 or 4 choices, but it's free delivery. So more people are going to order, right? You're just in that same neighborhood. So it's going to be quick
Hmm.
to deliver everything.
That's
But yeah,
that's
they're
really
doing it.
smart.
Yeah, liquor stores have been, delivering. Mexican restaurants are doing to go margaritas now.
Yeah, one of our Mexican restaurants did that. I tell you, one of the restaurants that impressed me the most around here was Texas Roadhouse.
Mm,
They started doing carry out and curbside sales of their raw steaks. You could just order
yeah.
steaks because people are there and grills. The guys are quarantined wanting to grill out, right? So I thought that was kind of brilliant, because they're still turning product like crazy. They had over 50 people in their parking lot the other night, and they've even sectioned off now, put numbers. They give you a number, and that's the slot you come to, and then they come and bring it to your car when it's ready. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
they're pumping through. A buddy of mine runs it. He's the GM out there. He said they're pumping through 300, 350 cars a night now and they only do it like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then they do their regular business like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, through curbside, just the cooking stuff. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of allowed them to not have as many employees in the building to still be able to keep the safety standards, but to still not lose their sales. He told me their sales are up 20% from what they were prior to this. And I mean, and that was the busiest restaurant in town
Oh,
before
wow.
this. And they
Okay.
still are, and they've actually increased their numbers, increased profitability. Um, so yeah, I think the more innovative you get and the more creative, but to your point, I'm doing the exact same thing you are. I'm paying attention to the ones that are giving back too, because
Mm,
that's what all of this is all about. Everything
yeah.
that we do with fundraising, all that's got an element of the give back. And our second pivot that we're getting ready to launch this weekend, hopefully. I've got the web guy. I was on the phone with him right before the call, seeing his progress, but we're getting ready to do a suds pivot and do our fundraising that used to be order form schools. They go to the door, B2B, so to speak. If you consider the team that we're working with, the other B, we're just kind of bypassing them now due to the fact that they're on a pause and going straight to their consumer and their customer, free delivery. We'll eventually get that to the curbside thing too in probably a week or two. And then we're giving 20% back to a non-for-profit of the customer's choice.
Hmm.
So they purchase a laundry detergent bucket, 20% goes to Boys and Girls Club, hypothetically, and then we're dropping it off on their porch later that day or the next day. So I think that's for us kind of one of those things that we've been playing with over the last couple of years, but never wanted to take the plunge. Well, now it is the plunge. It's the
Yeah.
only thing that we really can do, because we were doing business in 11 states, and that's just on pause right now. It's just logistically just impossible to try to get that all figured out. So until then, we're just going to try to make a bigger impression and a better impression in the community, and then help a lot of these non-for-profits that have seen their donor pool shrink up overnight.
Mm,
Everybody goes to freak out mode when they don't know what there's uncertainty in their own personal finances or their business's finances. The donations are the first ones to get cut.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen a ton
Yours
of
isn't a lot of good.
GoFundMe's and
Yeah,
stuff from businesses like, "Hey, pay our payroll." Like, we can't do it
yeah,
this,
yeah.
yeah. And it's
Nah,
like, people aren't gonna
they're
donate to
evolved.
that, yeah. They're gonna,
That's
yeah.
so that's kind of our next move, is to try to help some of the non for profits while we help ourselves. We're pivoting to try to keep our things going and surviving, and how can we do that while we impact another? we can get non-for-profits that want free money. That's really about all it is at this point. And this is a
Yeah.
concept we've had around for about 4 years and just didn't really have the right timing, the right means, the right technology, whatever. And thanks to COVID, it opened our eyes that we actually have all the pieces we need to finally make this happen. So that's going to be next week. So we're kind of crescendoing in musical terms of sanitizer first. Now we're getting the community partnership store going next week, and we'll see what else. The t-shirts are still on pause until it's appropriate, and then that'll be kind of the third one. So yeah, we've actually had a time to come up with a pivot for all three of the businesses, and then my wife's doing some stuff on her own right now with the boutique to help that out. So to a certain degree, they're all kind of in play, just trying to find the right timing.
Yeah. Yeah. So with your wife, is she finding that orders and stuff are staying the same? Because for like online e-commerce, it's going through the roof. Like
Yeah.
Shopify is seeing numbers comparable to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and it still hasn't hit that peak yet. Right? Like our sales, we're up 70 something percent over last month. We're up 49% over last year.
That's
Like it,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, and it's everything's taken off. I mean, we do
I mean,
sell supplements, so people are worried about their health and stuff right now, but
I
it's
mean, I
yeah,
guess call me crazy, Brandon, but isn't this somewhat kind of just like, again, like take away the death toll, take away the severity of COVID, because nobody really knows anything about it really at this
yeah,
point.
yeah,
If you listen to enough news places, you're as confused and frustrated as anybody else. So it doesn't this kind of just almost just represent another cycle in just life where there's a fad and a certain phase where like Apple AirPods got real popular for a while,
uh-huh,
and then they're just not. And
yeah,
so the companies that are online, that are prepared, that were putting a big presence on e-commerce, it's just the stars are aligned and the moon is shining on them right now. I mean, period, right? I mean,
yeah,
you got tax checks that just hit, stimulus that's hitting, businesses that are getting free money, unforgivable 12-month free loans. I mean, hello, this is an injection from the government, and people are sitting at home on their cell phones. How
yeah,
could e-commerce not go wild right now, really?
yeah,
So I think those people that have put themselves in that position, whether they knew that something like this could happen or didn't, either way, they're benefiting from it. So with Kelly, she was a little late to the game with the e-commerce side, and that's really on me. I'll have to take credit for that because I'm the one that was supposed to have her up and running on the e-commerce side. But she really enjoys the customer one-on-one interaction coming into the store. She's a young old school spirit, so
okay,
she still firmly believes in those the brick and mortar, come in, try it on, build a relationship, and I get that totally. Her grandmother actually was a buyer for Macy's and some of those bigger stores. Started here in Nolenbergs, which is an old store here, but she used to fly to Chicago and New York and deal with. Actually, I rephrase it. She worked for Nolenbergs, but she worked with Macy's and some of those bigger ones. She was a buyer for a lot of them, and went to all those things. So it's kind of in her blood to go to those markets
yeah,
and to really see what's hopping right now and see what her customers want, talk to them about it, and make sure it fits and they're happy. But she actually did a really cool pivot the other day. She started doing loungewear because people are hanging out the house.
yeah,
And this doesn't require any application, anything, nothing at all. We just order it from our wholesaler, and it gets here, and she puts it in a bag and takes it to their house. I mean,
hmm.
but it was cool because it's cozy stuff that people are sitting around, not even showering, but doing makeup or anything else. So you might as well throw on some cool sweats, right? So yeah, I was kind
I
of proud of her
tweeted
for coming
out.
up with that.
Yeah, I tweeted out as a joke yesterday as like a change from my daytime pajamas to my nighttime pajamas.
Right.
But normally I'm in athletic gear all the time, like sweats or,
Yeah.
uh, those type of like athletic sweats, not like just old sweatpants, like nasty sweatpants, but are shorts or something like that. So,
The
but
guy that works for me, Billy, he and I always argue because I'm always trying to take that company approach. We don't see a lot of our customers because we
mhm,
do so many, states. So he's like, dude, I buy really nice sweats and they're better than any jeans. They're nicer than jeans. They're more expensive than jeans. And I'm like,
yeah,
Billy, it's sweatpants, dude. At some point. But he's kind of got me now, I think, hooked on those because I've worn sweats so much this period of being quarantined or whatever you want to call it. I was even out delivering the other day and dropping stuff off people's porch in my sweatpants. I'm like, what is happening here? This is so
Nobody
not like
cares.
me.
Yeah.
No, but I finally had to move my office from home back to the office. Just,
Mhm.
it's just Billy and I for the most part in here if it's not the kids, and we've been around each other for pretty much the whole time. So uh, I was like, yeah, I can't do this kitchen table office two screen thing anymore. I've got to get back to some sort of normality.
Yeah, well, I'm blessed to have my office here. Like I'm separated, and then
Hmm.
it's me and my wife, and then she's above the bonus room, above the garage. So she's on the whole other side. Like we have a super long house, so I mean she's really far
Forever
away.
away.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
so,
could totally rock the home thing if I had that, but we
yeah,
we purposely live in a condo that's fairly small
hmm
because our long-term goal is to end up to the panhandle of Florida and have a property there, have a property probably somewhere in the Nashville area down the road. So we didn't want to get too big or too frivolous here where we don't plan on
yeah.
wanting to be long term. So
You know, no one really knows this outside of some family members, but we were actually talking about selling everything, and we were looking hardcore. I'm talking about like ready to pull the plug hardcore on selling everything and buying a massive RV and traveling around the country
really,
and just
I
doing,
could
yeah,
see that. Yeah, I could see
because
that.
we sit at home and like we were talking before this started, our lives haven't changed. Like the only difference is we don't go out to stores and stuff on the weekend or just go out and about and do things, go sit down in restaurants. But our day to day, running the business, being at home, like nothing's changed. And
Right.
so we were talking about, well, if we're going to do that, might as well have like pretty views to look at.
Yeah,
Right.
makes a
So
lot of sense.
yeah, and it's we could pay everything cash, so we would have no payments, no more, nothing. It would just be, traveling money and food and the normal. But yeah, that dream got crushed pretty quick.
Yeah, I
Because
was getting ready to say what happened to it. Is it still on the table here? Is it something you guys might go back to?
yeah, down the road, but who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, we love where we're at. Like our, the most comfortable we've ever been because we before this we had a massive farm, and then all the back stuff, that took that away.
Yeah.
So went from a massive farm to a tenth of an acre. Uh, but yeah,
That's a big change.
yeah. But I mean, we absolutely love it. It's quieter here than it was at the farm, which is crazy. Um, but yeah,
That is crazy because
yeah. So we
it
might go
seems
back to
quieter.
it, but it's going to be a while. I mean, all this stuff has to pass, and
Yeah.
be way in the clear before. But so where at in the Panhandle do y'all want to go?
I personally want to go to Pensacola. My
Nice.
wife's kind of Fort Walton Beach, Navarre
Yep. I lived in Nashville
area.
for a while.
So, oh, did you? Okay, so
Yeah.
you know that area well. We've already kind of set up a bit of a suds presence there with a friend of ours there that kind of got nipped right before this started. We'll get back to that, and that corridor, man, between Panama City and Mobile or whatever you call it. I'm just thinking laundry detergent in bulk, mom and pop hotels. That's a winner right there on top of the fundraising. So I'm kind of excited to get down there and try to spend more time eventually if I can get out of these trenches up here, start spending some more time building relationships down there because I think that's a gold mine. And there is no laundry detergent fundraising to my knowledge down there. Every time we present it to a Florida group, they're like, "What is this?" This kind of brings me back to the first time I'd ever heard about it as a coach, which is what started all that. So it's kind of nice to go into that uncharted waters, so to speak, be the Daniel Boone
Yeah.
of Florida's laundry detergent fundraising.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
actually, Nashville's the first step. So we had a great big old plan and we're still going to do it. It's just when the time's right in Nashville, we're going to unload on Nashville
yeah.
and really, really build the Suds present there because there's not a whole lot of that there either, and it's surprising to me. But I think we've done well with Tennessee outside of just that Nashville, but we're going to hyper target that area and really start working there because I like being down there and I like to come down and have a reason and excuse to spend a week or so to meet and greet and talk to people and hang out with some achievers and drink some coffee.
Yeah. So are you
So
gonna like franchise it and try to like franchise in different places or just kind of do it all yourself and have people run it in those locations? Or
That's a great question, man. We've bounced both ideas back and forth over the last 2 years, and we're kind of at a stalemate on the pros and cons list of both, really.
yeah,
I think our plan right now is to do it from a company standpoint in Nashville, and then grow distributors locally as we connect with people. It's kind of it's a really easy proposition. Do you have some extra time, and are you affiliated and connected with a youth sports organization in your community?
yeah,
Those people, the community people, those soccer mom dad kind of thing, that have the extra time, maybe only work part-time or don't work at all. This is a great way for them to represent us. At the same time, they're helping themselves and the community. So our plan is to hire several distributors across the area in all the different communities, all the different suburbs, and just kind of blanket it that way. And then depending on how things go, it'll either maybe be a company store that we put something physical there and grow that way, or it's very likely that we would start franchising and building territories like that and then selling to a franchisee.
hmm,
That plan's kind of been on the table, but I'm sure, as you know, with franchises, there's a lot of legality, a lot of red tape, and
yeah.
a lot of things that I think we've got a lot of cleanup to do internally before we take that sort of step. So it's just the grind of getting to that point, but that's definitely something we've talked about.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of red tape involved with all
Yeah.
that stuff. And
I think the word licensing starts sounding a little better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
So
try to keep everything simple these days. So if I have too much going on or anything too crazy, it's just, yeah, I don't like the stress involved with it. We had
that's
that. The first Amazon company, e-commerce company we took was, well, not the first because we've had multiple, but our first big Amazon one was, we grew it too quick and the money was just flying in, but man, that stress was at an all-time high.
yeah,
And it was just
yeah.
like, it ain't worth it all the time. Yeah, right. So
It's
it's
not.
kind of a
There's
sweet
there's
spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you're so good at that Amazon thing, man. And there's so many people that I think will come out of this, and I just see your business going nuts because we know Amazon's not going anywhere anytime soon, and the more people that have product that are finding it more and more valuable to get on the e-commerce side, Amazon's it's the place to start. If you've got the right. But I know from my perspective, once I'm to that point, I know I'm going to be hooking up with you because I have no interest whatsoever. And personally, learning how to do all that Amazon stresses me out, frustrates the hell out of me. But I definitely plan. I mean, how can you want to bypass that up if you say e-commerce and don't have a plan to be on Amazon? Man, I don't know. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's such an easy platform, and we've done well on there with as little as I know about it. And I don't. I mean, I could probably be doing a lot better, but even selling pumps that go onto the buckets
Hmm.
and the gallon jugs, I mean, we're selling those not currently because we're about out of them, but before that, I mean, we were getting little waves of where did that come from? 20, 30 pumps get sold in 2 week period, and we're like, what? Where didn't do anything to deserve that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Amazon's definitely something I'd love to get to down the road. I think it's a gold mine.
It's insane, man. Like I posted the other day on Instagram stories of my conversion rate and it was down and it was at 66.6% and it was down.
That's unheard
And
of.
I'm just like, yeah, I was laughing. I was like, oh, I'm struggling, y'all. But I mean, you're never going to find that. Like we were looking, we have a melatonin product that we sell and it's flying off the shelves right now. And we was going back and looking, all right, let's see how many we sold on this day. We're trying to figure out how much stock we need to keep going, which it's never enough because we're still going to run out. But
Hmm.
we were looking and our conversion rate was 134%. Like everybody that came bought
Wow.
multiple bottles.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. And that's like the power of Amazon. You're not going to find that anywhere. You're not going to find that
No.
online at Walmart or eBay or
You
any of the
sure as
other
heck aren't going
stores.
to build it yourself. That's for
Hell
sure.
no. Hell no.
No way.
We work our ass off on our website, and we push three, right? And then we have a lot of improvement we can do there, but it's not going to get that much higher. Like, I
No,
mean,
no,
it's
no.
yeah,
And the money that Amazon charges to fulfill and to market and do all that. I mean, and I'm sure I'm not telling you anything. You're going to tell me here soon, one of these days, to how to do it. But it looks to me like you can create with your system, your the thing that you're coaching people on. it's like an assembly line of money. The more you put in up here, the more you're going to spit out and print back here.
And
And
that's my
as long as
process.
that number is bigger than this one, I mean, it's just a matter of time before you get where you want to be.
And that's actually the name of my process is the assembly line. Like, because that's what I teach people, right? Bringing that
Mm.
product through, and it's just every step, right? There's another one right behind it, and you're just pumping it out. And it's, yeah,
It
I
makes
mean,
a lot of sense, man.
they do charge, about 30 to 35% off the top when it's all said and done. But it's like I said, those conversion rates, it's worth it. Right? There's nowhere else that I can put that type of product up, do the type of marketing that you do, and get those numbers. And to
Well,
be
if you
honest,
compare it to like my thing, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was about to say, to be honest, like it's a business that can be run an hour a day. Like you don't have to go put a full 40-hour weekend and still get that type of work. Right? If you do that 80-20, you're gonna have just as much success as the people doing that. But yeah, it's nuts out there, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to commit a little harder to the Amazon thing when I finally get things kind of going. But to your point, when you look at the kind of that assembly line and that whole thing that you're doing on your end, you know, I'm trying to almost doing the same thing in a
Mm.
brick and mortar sense. And it's like when you're talking about 30, 35%, well, when I sell it to the local lumber store or whatever, they're getting it at about 50 per, about that 50% margin to where they're retailing it and making that. So 30 to 35% is just cutting out a salesman, a distributor, all the
Mhm.
things that you would normally have in this traditional style of business. At least from my perspective, wholesale, I'm trying to keep my margins to where I'm at least, somewhere in that double my money, triple my money,
Yeah.
from a manufacturer standpoint, and still allowing them to double my price to them to the public for retail. So, and we're able to do that and keep them whole and us whole. Amazon's actually a better deal when you look at it that way.
Yeah, and they push a lot of B2B stuff on there too, where you can get better prices and do the wholesale and all that. But it's they're also that 35% includes them storing your product at the warehouse, them fulfilling the orders, shipping it out, and it's around the clock. So I mean, I can take a laptop and what I was just talking about on the RV, travel around the country, and they can handle it all. Right.
Yeah,
That was like one of
that's
our biggest questions is like, because we like to keep some stock, because we do all the website orders ourselves, all the shipping. And so
mhm.
we want to keep some stock with us. And that was like the big question. But everything else, even then we can turn a button on and all our Shopify orders go directly to Amazon and Amazon fulfills them. And it doesn't cost that much
See,
more.
yeah, well, you could always add a trailer on the back of this big RV and just
Yeah.
have it all pimped out with all your shelving of product. It's pull over. You should put a great big vinyl graphic on the side too. It's like living the American dream. I
Yeah.
mean, who else would not want to travel in an RV, see the country, and work an hour or two a day from their Amazon store that funds it all? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Put our
pretty
logos
brilliant,
on the
man.
side, let the business pay
Yeah,
for it all. Yeah.
there you
Great
go. There you
marketing.
go.
Yeah. Got
Heck
to get those
yeah,
tax
man.
breaks, man.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else is getting them at the big
Have,
business level.
have you been trying to get any of the loans or anything that's been going on?
Oh yeah, my accountant has. Thank goodness she's been trying to do it all because there's no way I could keep up with all that right now. The way they're changing it daily, but to this minute, I have not received a single penny. Not nothing.
We
No
got our
PPP. No nothing.
well PPP. We tried that, and that they're
Yeah,
out of money. So
yeah,
those
and
are
that was for employees. Like I've got, my
yeah
wife and I are employees, but we don't pay ourselves hardly crap through the
yeah.
W-2. Really, edit that out for the IRS. And the other couple employees, they had the choice to whether stay and try to grind it out or go get on unemployment when they first started talking about it, and they chose to just go and kind of wait out the storm on unemployment, which I totally respected.
Probably
So
making more money. I mean, a lot of people
they,
are.
I surely they are. I mean, I know they are, and so I wanted the best for them too, and so
Mhm.
that's what they're doing. And then that's where the kids kind of stepped in. I'm like, hey, you guys need to replace some shoes here, and they did. So, but yeah, the PPP wasn't going to be much for us, and so it didn't really
Yeah.
surprise me. And who knows what's going on with the SBA thing? Everything I read seemed like it'd be stupid to not try to apply for it.
So we got money today from that, the advance. right?
See,
So
I filled that out and never got anything for it. So,
I've gotten one email the entire time, and the
me too.
email was pushing the PPP program, right? So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
nothing else. And then woke up this morning and we had money in the bank account from that, but it was just part of the advance. It wasn't anything to do with the loan, right? So,
Mm. Well, that's
yeah,
good to know, and that's good to hear because
yeah.
I'd read a few things that said they were pretty much halting that. The $10,000 advance was done, and they weren't going to do that anymore.
Hmm.
And it was going to be then tied to the PPP, and you only got 1,000 per employee. And I'm like,
It is still 1,000 per employee. And then if you have 10 or more employees, you just get the 10,000 and it doesn't go any higher.
okay, so they did change it from a $10,000 grant type
Yeah.
forgivable, just upfront amount. But
Yep.
yeah, like I said, man, to this, I know the accountant put in the application with the bank, and then the bank was talking something, and then who knows? And then she had to send it all to Texas, I guess. And I have no idea. She's frustrated. I hate to say this, probably shouldn't, but since day one when we started this, I thought if and when any of that stuff comes, that's great.
Yep.
But A, entity to do anything efficiently and in timely. Definitely, and that's in a normal time, time
Mhm.
not normal time frame. You take something like this, and people are expecting a week or two. You can't go get your driver's license renewed or plates for a vehicle without 3 trips over a week to the DMV. Why in the world they think people are going to hand out free money that fast? So I just said, I just thought, man, this is all too good to be true to me. If it happens, great. Believe me, I was on it, got her and taking care of it all right out of the gate. But I don't spend any time worrying about it, thinking about it. If it hits the account, great. If it doesn't, I prepared for that and I'm doing the best I can do, without it. So to this minute, I haven't received a single penny. So we'll
That's
see.
exactly my thoughts behind this whole situation. Like, definitely trying to take advantage of that loan, just low interest. I mean, you can't
12
beat
months, no
those.
payment. Yeah.
Yeah, sign me
I mean,
up all
that's
day long. And
exactly.
yeah, give me the max. Like,
That's what I told my accountant. She goes, "Well, this is the number that I came up with." And, after changing my pants, I was like, "Wow, how did you come up with that?" She goes, "Jeremy, with everything I know that they've told me, this is totally legit. I didn't stretch a thing." And I was like, "If we can get approved for that, I will, take you to dinner or something. My gosh."
yeah,
Um, but she said even if they cut it and they cut it in half, it's still might as well ask for it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. 12 months no payment for the first 12 and 3.5 after that percent. If you get a big chunk of money and you're an entrepreneur and you can't make money with that gift, then you should not be an entrepreneur. You should be doing something else.
for real. Yeah.
So we'll just sit and wait patiently while we try to sell what we can sell and do what we can do and see how it all plays out. But very uplifting to hear that you got something today because that's cool. I heard about some others from the same bank we're with that got funded 2 days ago. One was for like 1.9 million on that SBA loan. So it does seem to be that they are approving them, and certain banks are using their money, certain ones aren't. So it's kind of like trying to figure out where you can apply that's actually going to fund it up front and wait for the SBA to reimburse them
See, we did it direct. We did it ourselves for the EIDL one, and we went online and
online, right?
yeah, and filled it all out. Just kind of ourselves. And there wasn't like a number we try to get, right? They just said there, if you get approved, they'll call you or contact you, and then you work out the details with them. So we're like,
Right.
cool, right? Because
Yep.
even if it's 5 grand, hey, I'll take an extra 5 grand, 12, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's 5 million, whatever, right? But um, yeah, the PPP, we actually went through a bank and did all that.
Which I
And
kind
that,
of figured that one was going to start taking the precedent because it's all about keeping the people employed.
yeah,
And I get that and I totally respect that. But the kind of money that they're giving you for that, it only takes care of one little small piece of the problem. That's not anywhere close. I mean, it kind of shows you when like US Airlines 2 weeks after this started, they're wanting 50 billion or they're going to go bankrupt. I mean, if that company doesn't have any better fiscal responsibility than that with cash, then you couldn't expect small businesses like you
yeah,
or I to be any
you're like,
better off,
wow.
you know?
Yeah,
So, I think that was the big first thing I read that was like, oh gosh, how bad this is really going to be. if you can't go with cash flow for 2 weeks and you're bankrupt, I mean, you're living on some pretty tight margins, it seems like there, which I don't know the airline industry and I'm not crumbing, but I haven't heard of them going bankrupt. So I'm going to assume they got their 50 billion somehow. It's nice to hear while I'm still waiting on a single dollar, but that's expected. I don't expect anything different.
Yeah, I think the bad side of that though is I know I've seen a lot of posts and people talking, other business owners that don't need the money and still applied for it and got the money,
Yeah.
right? Because they're taking
Yeah.
advantage of it. And so, what's that going to do to the people who aren't getting the money that actually do need the money, right? Because I know a lot of local people that are still trying to figure out how they're just going to make it, right? And
Yeah.
now they're out of money. So it's just, yeah, like you said, that,
Yeah. And if we'd be in the exact same spot if it wasn't for the hand sanitizer.
yeah,
And here we are, I just spent 20 some $1,000s on alcohol 2 days ago, and it's shipping yesterday. It'll be here Monday. The market between now and Monday, that $20,000 worth of alcohol might be worth 80,000 when it comes. It may be worth 8,000 when it comes. It may be worth 800 when it comes. And what else can you do right now though? So yeah, I'm not going to say it's not a little bit frustrating. I think for the health of my mindset, I need to stay out of the news and stay out of anything. And just
yeah,
if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've often looked at this after the last several years of dealing with these adolescent wannabe businesses that are in that toddler stage, right? I'm so happy that we're still up and going. I've been under this kind of grind and stress for the past few years because of building too fast. I mean, that
yeah,
we just built
yeah.
too big, too fast, too many different things without the right help. And so at least I'm looking at it this way. I grind, I grind, I grind, and if something doesn't work, before it would have been 100% my fault.
Mhm.
Hey, if something happens at this point, the government doesn't come through and we've worked 17 hours a day, what else can you do? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
this wasn't, I'll look for another pivot and do something else. I mean, that's what you do, right?
But this is
So,
where you're going to have that separation, and the people and the businesses that come out of this and that grinded and fought and did what they had to do. Those are the ones that make it. Those are the
yeah,
ones that people are going to remember, right? Those are the ones that I think have that greater long term potential. A lot of people that they're struggling. They're still getting handouts and they're still struggling. Like I mentioned earlier with the GoFundMe accounts, asking for payroll and rent, and like to me, it's like I'm not going to support a main business like United, right? I wouldn't give them a
mhm,
dollar. Like you need to
yeah,
have better, business sense than that, and you should have been preparing for something like this because you never know what's going to happen. But especially when they're charging the prices and stuff they do, baggage, like just extra
yeah.
stuff all over.
CEO makes $20 million bonus, and now a month later, COVID hits, and I'm not saying he did, or I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee you'd find a headline like that somewhere out there. That'd
Hmm.
be true. I mean, you're going to keep paying these exorbitant bonuses. It's the same thing in '08 when the mortgage
Yeah,
market hit crazy. Same thing that was going on then. You're going to bail these companies out that last quarter just paid the CEO $20 million, and they did. And it's just the way America is. If you're a certain business and you're big enough, then you're too big to fail, and the
yeah,
government will protect you. And if you're not that big, then guarantee if Amazon would have been, this would have been different. Amazon would have probably gotten a help of whatever help they needed. That's just the way it is. And you can fight that, but it's easier just to accept it. I'm looking at this going, the businesses that weren't able to pivot, the ones that just went and closed it up and said forget it just thins the herd for the ones that grind through it. There's less competition,
yeah,
there's less uniqueness, there's less everything that you have to compete with in that world, and I'm looking forward to that world
yeah. Me
because I
too.
think it'll be awesome, man. You get rid of some of that dead weight that just takes the little bit that they need to survive away from all the ones that are really, really hitting it. At least in our business, there's a lot of mom and pop shop only deal with their own little market, or there's a lot of shysters that will go and collect a bunch of orders and order forms of money and never place the order. And so this gets rid of people like that, which it
Yeah,
makes our business a lot more I guess a lot easier to sell when you don't have horror stories out there of schools getting taken advantage of in a fundraising program. I mean, that's the end of the day. We sell laundry detergent in a 5-gallon bucket, and there's several others that do too. What differentiates us? I'd have to say we'll be here at this point.
yeah.
And That's going to be a huge differentiator, luckily.
Yeah, same with ours. I mean, there's a ton of Amazon businesses that have already been firing everybody and closing up shop, and it's crazy to
Yeah,
see how quick they went under too. And then there's, some that are going to be keep grinding it out and moving forward. And but yeah, it's going to thin out that herd. They were, kicked off a ton of people for price gouging
yeah,
and trying to take advantage of people during this time, which is good riddance, right? That there's no need
yeah.
for that. Selling toilet paper. Oh no, what was it? 2 boxes of cereal were going for $71. 2 boxes of cereal.
Wow.
It's like why are you doing this? Like,
It's funny you kind of mentioned that because I actually had a post that a girl put up in a local Facebook group it was a really cool group and it's still going. It's a grocery, kind of like who's got what grocery kind of thing. I forget the name of it, but it was like COVID-19 local grocery
yeah,
updates. And that way, if Meyer had toilet paper, you'd put it on there and everybody go and get their toilet paper instead of hitting 50 stores, right?
yeah,
Well, somebody posted something about the sanitizer and about how $22 for a bottle, 16-ounce bottle of sanitizer was price gouging. And, I felt like it was price gouging, except for I knew what the cost and the margins were. So I knew it wasn't price gouging. But would I pay $22 for a bottle of sanitizer? Ooh, probably not. Maybe
yeah,
if I absolutely had to, but that's just me. Um, but how I ended up having to respond to it was I'm glad she brought that up and kind of spun it and just almost got to the point where I was posting my actual cost of the product. Because if you haven't seen or knew anything about the alcohol market, me included,
yeah.
you knew it went up 11-fold over 3 weeks. You knew that was and that's just simple supply and demand. If you can't get your hands on 99% isopropyl alcohol, or you're not a distillery that can pump out ethyl, then you're not making sanitizer, and everybody's demanding it right now. So, where is that line with price gouging? What I had to battle that and kind of look in my own head because at a certain point I could have sold anything in a bottle if I wanted to that had alcohol in it for whatever price I really wanted to. So how different is it when you look at just the simple supply and demand? And if you're putting a product out at this price and you get sold out in the first 3 hours, what's that tell you? It tells you something. Either your price is too low or the demand's way higher than what you need. So how do you set that curve or limit that curve to where you can do it? I'm sure you deal with it with your demand and supply problem all the time on Amazon.
Yeah.
So the price gouging thing, I don't know. I'm kind of up on that. I mean, what's your take on it? What do you kind of feel like margin wise? Where would you draw that line as far as what you could do or should do?
So with the sanitizer and the mask, I understand it, right? Because there is a demand, and like you were saying, supply is just hard to come by with that. But when it
Mhm.
comes to your everyday items, your toilet paper, the cereal, supplements, right? I've seen it with people jacking up their supplements 50% and stuff.
Mhm.
Like that is a little bit different to me. I think you're just trying to take advantage of the situation. And maybe that doesn't make me a good business person, right? Because I'm not doing that. Like we raised our price $1 on one product, and that was to try to. We did it too, but then we started to slow down sales, and it didn't make a difference. Um, and then I dropped it back $1 just because I was like, man, this is kind of the sweet spot for it. But I even felt bad kind of about that. But
Yeah, I
just
got you.
because the time being right in normal times, I wouldn't give two craps about it. But um, yeah, I have an issue with the everyday items. The stuff like the sanitizer, I do understand that a lot better. Now Amazon doesn't because it's a lot of bots that flag these listings, and they don't
Mhm.
know the difference between it. But
Must
yeah,
be
like two
Facebook
box,
too.
yeah, but like 2 boxes of cereal for $70. I mean, kiss my butt
That's
on that
crazy.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, that's just absurd. Well,
and
I
there's a
saw
ton
like
of that.
Lysol, like a 3-pack of Lysol sprays was going for like $56 or something on some site that I clicked, and because there at the beginning, I was trying to
Yeah,
keep an eye on everything because in this small of an area that we're at, if two local grocery stores got shipped 2 pallets of sanitizer products, it puts a damper on ours for a minute because they're keeping it at the same price. Because they still haven't blown through their supplies.
yeah,
At least in my logic, I can't say that this is true, but looking at the prices, if they were paying what I was from the manufacturers, the chemical manufacturers of alcohol, Walmart wouldn't be selling that bottle of sanitizer for $1.97 still.
No. Yeah.
So I know they still have warehouses and supplies that they're still going through at the old price contracts and all that. When that changes, their price is going to change too. But the difference is they're limiting it to 2 per customer, and they're only getting in a truck of that stuff every other week. So if you want to have it and have it readily, then you're also paying for that service too. You're paying to
Yeah.
have it delivered. So I kind of battled it back and forth, but I ended up personally just leaving it at, as long as the margins. I just started looking at all of our other product margins across the board, and other than the laundry detergent and the 5-gallon bucket, this is our lowest margin product. So that made me sleep a lot better once I got the numbers, kind
Yeah.
of figured out that, I know it's absurd, 20 some dollars for a 16-ounce bottle. I mean, 3 months ago, for the most part, this is 75 or 70% out, isopropyl alcohol with a few additives to it.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. And you're buying that for $1 or $2 at the store, and now it's 20. It's just, it is a little crazy, but it is what it is. And
Yeah.
people want to be safe. I mean, your life is kind of important. If the alcohol is what's killing that virus, and you're going to work every day to do it, you might as well be protected. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but
For the people that need it, right, there's a different understanding of it. Hospitals, first responders, like they have to have it. They need, buckets of it pretty much just to
yeah,
get through. Um, it's kind of whatever, you don't want to go crazy on them. But man, I heard something like, and this is hearsay, but
mhm.
um, some business in California that was going bankrupt and doesn't even make masks got like a $70 million contract to make masks. And it was
Wow,
like
yeah.
6 to 10 times the markup that it should have been. And they don't even do that, they don't even specialize in it. So it's like there's a lot of that kind of
There,
stuff that,
yeah, I talked to a guy who lives here, works for a company in New York, an engineering company. They just got a New York grant. It wasn't a federal, but it was a New York state grant to build a system that takes the 4 ingredients of the World Health Organization sanitizer recipe, or the 3 ingredients, and it added on. Their little claim to fame was it added on another port for people like me who put the carrier oils, the essential oils in to make it, their own product and enhance it. They just got this huge grant to start building these that fit onto these blending machines so that they can start pumping out sanitizer in these companies that are set up to make it, but they're not really set up to do it efficiently.
yeah.
This little machine measures and takes the 4 ingredients at the right measurements and blends it all. And
Hmm.
he wanted to know if we would be interested, because they'd like to build as many as possible with this grant. And I'm like, that'd be great, but I don't know if we'll be doing sanitizer in a month, 2 months, 2 years. I have no idea. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about the hands, feeling better, and the smell being a lot better than just dumping alcohol on your hands, of course. But as far as numbers go and where we're going to be when this is all back to normal, can we compete with the Purells and the Walmarts? I don't know. We tend to do it on a regular basis with the other products, but who knows? We still have the fundraising platform of 11 states, and that'd be a great product to add too. So we're weighing it all out right now, day to day, with this crazy, crazy world.
Well, even if you don't do the numbers you're doing now, like you said, you got a whole brand new product that you can have to your line, right?
Hmm.
It's going to stay in the
Yeah,
stores, those local stores that you just got into, just because of the relationship you're building now and everything going on. They're going to keep that going. Your local market's probably going to eat that up, right? Word of mouth will spread with it. So it is going to be a viable product. But like you said, you don't know exactly what type of volume you're going to be doing and how long. So do you need to invest in all that extra stuff, or,
right.
do you wait it out? Yeah, there's
It's
going to be
kind
a
of
lot
like the regular normal business game. It's just on warp speed. I mean, it's
of,
almost like you just got this new video game, and you just went to the 12th level, the one that you got to pass to win the game, and you're just slapped right into level 12 with, woo, dropped right in. And you're trying to navigate all that. I mean, who knows what's going to happen today, tomorrow, but you got to make those decisions. I mean, it made me nervous to buy all that alcohol, knowing that's going to be a few days. And we've already seen, you said things in threes, and I agree with you 100%. Everything I do, I love that number 3.
yeah, yeah.
I even got a tattoo that's got the 3 the 3
Oh,
arrows
nice.
on there.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the threes too, and I agree that's the first cycle. But we've already seen now 3 cycles within the first one of just within 2 to 3 day periods of phones blowing up. Everybody and their brother wants it. 10,000 bottle quote, 5,000 bottle quote, 2,000 bottle quote, and then you sit and pause, and you've had, 20 bottles ordered in the last 48 hours, and it's like, now wait a minute, and then it could be today. As soon as we get off the phone, I might have an email or a text on there that says go ahead with one of those, and it changes the game completely. I mean,
Yeah.
totally changes the game, because you have to source this product at least a week ahead, and when things are changing by the hour, it's very nerve wracking. Because you think you're grinding to get out of debt, but if you end up with a warehouse full of alcohol that's at 10 cents on the dollar when it's all said and done, it's not going to help you at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, man, but what else can you do right now other than gamble on the best? I mean, there's a lot of people that wish they had the ability to whip sanitizer together in this kind of market. So that's what I'm going to consider as a heck of a blessing, and I'm going to ride this train until it shows that it shouldn't be ridden anymore, if that ever comes to pass. I mean, who knows? It may just.
How
I
long do you
think
think?
people are going to be a lot more. I think they're going to be a lot more. At least I'm hoping. I'm probably a little biased in this, because I really want the sanitizer product to stay. But being as nerve wracking as it is, my wife is on the flip side, and so we had a little. I don't want to call it an argument because it was playful, but I was like, "Would you please get on Team Kean here and jump on sanitizer and quit talking about getting back to your boutique?" I mean, of all the businesses, you've got the lowest overhead and da 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 da. She was like, "Jeremy, haven't you ever thought of what's going to happen with the sanitizer when everybody does get back to work? You're going to have your people that think it's too premature. They're going to be the ones that, hey, finally, I get away from the kids, whatever, whatever. But all of them are going to be conscious about washing their hands, and at work they can't feel the comfort they have at home, so they're going to sanitize more. Companies that have this injection of money are going to want employee morale. They're going to want people to feel safe and to be safe, so they're going to spend whatever you want them to spend on that sanitizer to give them a product that's not the crap from Walmart, and to show them that they care." And I'm like, those are some perspectives I'd never even thought of. So it got me a little more confident and excited about the weeks to come, and investing so heavily in this, because I mean, we're
Yeah.
pretty much all in on the sanitizer until one of these wonderful loans from the government hit. But I mean, we're all in on the sanitizer for sure. So
That is a good point, because like, Amazon, their warehouses, they put up hand sanitizer stations like every 15 feet or 50 feet, something like that. And if you think about their warehouses, that's a lot of stations and a lot of sanitizer. But yeah, people are gonna freak out when they get to go back out there, right? Like,
we had a company. We just had a company buy 10 5-gallon buckets and 500 2-ounce bottles for their entire nationwide driving fleet for their
oh
truck
wow,
drivers. So I mean, FedEx is called, UPS is called. So I think just keeping that mindset. I mean, we're talking nationwide companies that are
yeah,
wanting to take care of their people. And I think with that going, I like it. I like it a lot. Plus, it's impressive to see these companies care about their people like that. That's
yeah.
cool.
Well,
Like
that's what
you
I
said
was.
before, people are
Yeah,
dying off and shutting their doors, and these people are spending thousands on sanitizer to keep their people safe, which is cool.
exactly. And that's who you want to support, right? You want to support those companies that are doing the right thing during this, whatever your opinion of the right thing is, because everybody has
Yeah,
different opinions on it. But
true.
uh, yeah, that's where you want to, where I want to throw the dollars behind. So I said we're supporting some local restaurants so heavy just because of what they're doing.
Hmm.
Right? We just want to keep throwing money their way, and we're going to keep throwing money their way, and until they quit doing what they're doing. But yeah, a lot of big companies are stepping up to that. So when do you think all this, your projection of how long this is going to last?
Oh man.
I know we don't know what the hell we're talking about here.
At
So.
least, yeah, but hey, it's fun to predict, right? At least we can go back to this and say either me or you was closest. Um, I think personally here, June 1st is my true date where I don't know what the politicians are going to say or do or what that means, because they put us on quarantine, stay at home order, only essential business, and I'd say maybe a 20% drop off in people being out running around. But I was in a traffic jam yesterday. I don't know how you do that when essentials only. So when you say get back to normal and the economy opens or whatever Trump's talking about, me, I think it's June 1st. And to me, what normal is, everyone is back to work that was working, and all the businesses that were closed have now made the decision whether they're opening back up because it's okay to go do it
Yeah.
now. That to me is going to be like, okay, who's still here? And I'm going to predict June 1st for that. But I definitely think it's going to be with a lot of apprehension, a lot of caution. Um, I think people are going to, I think it's going to change. I mean, the habits that have been formed for being in quarantine or whatever for 60 days, you're going to come out of this with a different way of living.
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's small, people like you are changing it just a little bit, maybe not you so much or what you're doing, but the restaurant that you might used to love might not be there anymore. The way you used to go shop might not be the same anymore. Cause I think it's going to be more like end of the year before people I don't ever want to say forget, but don't use those same precautions necessarily every day. I think it's going to take the better part of the year before anybody really goes back to normal. You know,
That's
I know
my,
I'm washing my
yeah.
hands a lot more than I used to, and it's becoming a habit. So,
Yeah, every time I go get the mail, we get
hmm
packages. Like I have gloves that I'll go grab the packages and throw them away, disposable gloves.
yeah,
Wash my hands after still, doing all that. But yeah, I'm kind of predicting it's going to be more towards the end of the year before this really will get back to some sort of normalcy. Just because I still think right now, like you said, you were in a traffic jam. I know people that are just do not take this serious whatsoever, think it's a hoax. They're going
hmm
out every day. They're finding excuses to be essential, right?
hmm
Oh, well, this is essential because I need ice cream. I have a craving, so I need to go to the store and get this today,
yep.
right?
Got to keep the dairy farmers employed.
Exactly.
To
Oh,
buy
well,
the ice cream.
yeah, like I want some milk, even though I'm lactose intolerant. I still want some today, right? And
Right.
they're gonna go, and you get all these excuses to get out of the house, and right, like the so many people are asymptomatic that are testing positive that aren't showing symptoms, and then you have what it's like delayed by a couple of weeks or can
hmm
be delayed up to a couple of
Can
weeks
be.
before you even show symptoms.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're at the end of April here or in the middle of April right now, but right, like someone could get you today and not show anything until May 1st.
Yep.
And then if they go out and just get about, then it's, I don't know. I think it's just going to still be a while. And, I don't think it's even really begun because I think there's still a lot of like rural areas that are still going to get hit hard. But hopefully I'm wrong about all that and we go back to normal, sooner.
I
But
I think you're more right on the money, and that's kind of where I was going with the to normalcy by the end of the year. But I think it's going to be pushed because at the end of the day, there are some arguments, and I don't have enough time to even take a side, but I do see the points of the people
yeah,
that were they're talking about um, the economy, and it's not that bad, and why are we killing the economy for something that flu kills more than these people? Da 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 da. Then you hear the medical community, they're like, you guys have no idea. We're on the front lines of this. We see people die. We see how fast it progresses. So it kind of reminds you of like a real life outbreak, movie that you're living.
yeah,
So depending on what side and what lens you're looking through, I think probably has a lot to determine. But I have a feeling that they're going to push it. The governor of Florida, who already in some people's minds made the wrong decision to let the spring breakers stay on the beach so much, which is what caused their big issue. They're already talking about opening the beaches back up. Georgia already has. Time will tell whether that was good for them, or I think everybody's just kind of in a gamble mode right now, whether from the top end. I mean, I don't think Trump's gambling any more or any less than what I am on alcohol or you are on supplements.
yeah,
And
yeah,
none of us know what the next day is going to bring or how we're going to do what we're going to do. So, I think end of the year is probably hopeful for normalcy in that kind of respect. But I think the biggest thing is when they actually get a date that they say, oh yeah, we are truly going to go back this date. How many times have they moved it back here? I think it's 3 already. News conference coming Monday that we're all waiting to hear from the governor again. Like we sit and wait like puppets, to wait on every move, every news line, knowing when he gets up there, the first half an hour is going to be just a bunch of crap that means nothing anyway. There's no news, there's no updates. I've been on, I think, 3 Zoom calls now, one with our state senator, one with somebody else, and not a single question could be answered about anything that mattered. So I'm like, just let the time. We're just borrowing time. That's
You
all.
know what freaks me out in this whole situation? So the Nashville mayor, and he does his daily updates and stuff. We were watching one, it's probably a week ago, and no lie, he had preachers come on and pray for the city. They had a worship service with like a guitar, and like I've never seen a government office do anything like that, where it was like something out of a movie. We're like,
Yeah.
look, we need all hands on deck. We need everyone praying right now. And I'm just like, all right, that one kind of gave me
Yeah.
put me in
And
some
when you
nerves
see
down there. But
yeah, I feel you, man. When you see the government and the leaders that are supposed to be, they're elected leaders that
oh,
wordsmith things to make you, oh, there you go.
yeah.
Their job is to wordsmith things to make you feel comfortable. And,
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm trying to not put too much of my own jaded look at this, but just watching people and the reaction to this every time, somebody gets on that's going to say something and you dial into it and you're like, really? Who do they think we're all this stupid? Really? It's like, I kind of see what's going on here, but
Yeah, yeah.
everybody else it just, for me personally, it just kind of, it re-emphasized my belief that you can't rely on anybody, government or anybody else in life. You got to trust what you do and know your game and know what you do well enough to be able to avoid a few landmines, hurdle a few hurdles, and bob when you need to weave, or bob when you need to bob, and weave when you need to weave. As we're going to all learn, I think potentially that um, if you wait around on government, or you wait around on necessarily anything to come through, you're probably missing out on some real opportunities.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm very happy that I chose that direction early. It's like, y'all pay attention to the news. I'm going to go work and be safe doing it. So
Yeah, I check in daily. Like, there's a couple of accounts on Twitter and stuff that I'll go look at that I know aren't pushing anything, right? They're just updating numbers,
yeah,
kind of telling, and some of them are pushing a lot of good news in between that with it. And so I'll go check that. But yeah, staying away from the press conferences, staying away from all that because nobody knows. And
yeah,
like you
that
said,
last one, man. Like,
yeah.
he spent 20 minutes thanking everybody, and we're doing such an awesome job, and we've been all working so hard and signing off on this and pushing money here and doing this, and I'm like, are you serious right now? Nobody's gotten a dollar. This is all a hoax, man. You guys aren't gonna. And then lo and behold, the headlines start dropping. Well, that one's out of money. Unemployment's out of money, and
Is
how do you
unemployment out of money?
in Indiana, they claim they're out of money, or they're getting ready to be out of money. So,
Dude, I know.
and somebody said something the other day, and they say, "How do we run out of money when all we go and do is print it anyway?" And even though I
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
that's not exactly the case, it kind of made you think about it. I mean, we kind of do, really, don't we? We just go print it, we go borrow it from, more than likely, China or whatever, and then we just continue to fall deeper and deeper in debt. So I don't know how we do go broke like this. I mean, once you come out and say this is what we're going to do for the American people and the businesses, I understand not doing it in the timely fashion that you said, but to come out and say you're going to get this and then you don't, I think that shows a lot about what the government's. I mean, how much do you want to trust somebody that goes and has a meeting, comes out and says the next day something, and then retracts it a week later?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's, if you put a lot of confidence in that, that's kind of silly.
Well, it's also, the limitations because there's so many people that are just going to unemployment because they can make more with unemployment now because of that boost and they can't work in a job. So it's like those
Mhm.
grocery store employees that are risking maybe their lives, right? If they have underlying health conditions and all this other stuff,
Absolutely.
they're risking their lives for what, maybe $10 an hour. So
Hmm.
they go bust their ass for 40 hours a week, get taxes taken out. Yeah, they might have what, 250, 260 bucks after all that.
Hmm.
And so they can go to unemployment. And I know the minimum here is like 275, but then you get an extra 600 bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot,
I'm having
right?
a heck of a time finding people to help deliver sanitizer and help make it. that's why I went to my family, in
Yeah.
certain respects. People are like, no offense, man, we'd come help you, but it doesn't make sense. And those are the honest ones. Then you got the ones that are scared and won't say it. And I
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, but doesn't that kind of just like sort of hit on somewhat of the problem that's always been there? I mean, the
Yeah.
government makes it easier for you to sit at home if you're in a certain spot than not. And that can be tied to a lot of the different problems on that. So I
Yeah.
mean, welfare reform or whatever they were working on or all that. I mean, you're not going to get somebody to come, especially like economically depressed areas that we are. You're not going to get people when they're getting $800-900 in unemployment. You are not getting them off their butt to come and deliver laundry detergent. I mean, you're just
No.
not. So, knowing that, I mean, yeah, I'm glad I'm in the John's group. Let's just say that the mindset training has been very, very helpful with not being sour and negative during this time. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a 16. I mean, we've been working 16-hour days since this started. Trying to squeeze in just a meal that's healthy and enough sleep to even get up and do it the next day. Actually, I thought of you here the last couple of days because I'm like, the way I feel right now is probably just a small percentage of the way Brandon feels every day, and this dude's out running 20 miles. Like, I can step it up still, even though I'm
That was
exhausted.
a dumb decision. That was such a dumb decision.
I wondered how long you were in pain after that, more over than the normal pain, but
Dude,
now,
I put as a goal that I wanted to bike 100 miles this week. Did not happen. Didn't even come close. My
better
knee,
have a.
yeah, I got so jacked up from the running. Because I seriously, I went from, I would occasionally run a couple of miles, right? And then I would do bike in another day. And then I would do, home workout, body weight workouts a couple of days a week. And so I was exercising daily, but I didn't
Mm,
run like that. And I went from running, let's call it 5 miles on a good week, right, to over 50 miles in 5 days. And
that's
so,
crazy.
yeah. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I hit every single one. And then I was like, I couldn't finish the weekend. And then my knees just kept getting bigger and struggling to walk. And I was like,
Yeah, I've
I'm
been
just
hitting my own.
better, but
I've been hitting my own pain beyond supply a lot here lately. My legs are about dead. But no, I mean that it is of a big compliment to you, from me meeting you and seeing you at that one, the Achiever Live where you made that awesome presentation with the 1% better. I mean that to this day is stuck, and
yeah,
it's like I see your what is it, cryotherapy, your homemade tub that you do, and then I get in the shower in the morning and I'm like, oh no, turn the hot water on, but I'm like, look what this guy does, it kind of. Yeah, I think you a lot more often than you probably would realize about, just as an inspiration to just push through, man. Quit making excuses. Anybody can.
yeah.
But if Brandon doesn't, then there is no way in the world I should be.
And I appreciate that, man, big time. But that's kind of how I ran that too, right? It was just I would I would run and I would see a spot and I would run to that spot. When I got there, I'm like, I could go for a little bit further, go a little bit further, and I'll just keep doing that.
Hmm.
All right, and so
That's awesome.
probably just being dumb on my part, too many head injuries, but
No, I think it's a testament to,
yeah,
the same thing you're going to run into in business. You run out of a supplier, or you run out of this or that. You could easily just kind of be like, man, that's a lot of work to try to do that again, and I'm kind of already exhausted from a busy week. But when you take those kind of steps, like you're talking about in the personal world, it flows over into the business world where you'll make those extra calls and you'll find that new supplier, and more than likely it'll come out, to your benefit by pushing through that. So,
and we
you know,
honestly have like I've done more. I feel in the past, I don't know, probably month than I have, this year. I mean, I got the book done and found
hmm
new suppliers and businesses growing, doing a lot, but I'm still pushing myself personal every day. And because I mean, gotta have those challenges, right? I
yeah,
mean, like, yours right now is, pushing those 16-hour days to keep this going, which is way more important than what I'm doing, right? Because I mean, well, I mean, you're taking care of the first responders and hospitals and nursing homes. I mean, I'm selling supplements, but who am I really selling them to, right? So,
you're
uh,
just keeping them safe in a different day, man. Different way.
yeah,
You're keeping
yeah,
them safe
but,
a different way.
yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things that, we haven't had time to get to yet in our content because of me being in the trenches, but the immune system and eating and all that, that's just as big of a fighter for this COVID or any other viral thing when you really look at it what it is,
Yeah.
scientifically. Having your immune system and your sleep and all those things that we talk about all the time in our coaching groups,
Yep.
those are just as important as the supplements and the sanitizer or anything else. And it's been hard. I know for me, my diet has just absolutely sucked. Not with the time, the planning, and then the grocery store. We don't always have the best looking produce around here anyway, because of where we live, and it's only going to be farmers are only really producing here locally very few times a year. So we're always getting stuff from God knows where with the grocery, and I mean, you're lucky to get bottled water when you go now, let alone a nice fresh head of lettuce or whatever you were looking for. So yeah, I've got to figure out a way to, I don't know, the Schwann's man's still coming, or I got to find some vegetables in
I
this
remember that.
grocery madness somewhere. Yeah, it's either that or I'm gonna have to get on your site and get some supplements, man, so I can just swallow my vegetables or whatever. But I got to get some because I'm starting to notice, after the wear and tear of the hours and not eating. I mean, we're eating ramen noodles, whatever we can grab, on the fly. So bless my wife's heart, she's been trying to keep up with doing the and she's a professional. She goes and runs her boutique, so her becoming Molly Maid and Holly Homemaker has not been an easy transition for her to make sure that me and the kids are fed, and we're here working all these hours and stuff. So she stepped up like a champ and made sure that we had food. But I don't blame her for not being the best food to probably eat for this, because it's hard to find at this point.
Well, we were doing the carnivore diet before all this hit, and hardcore in it, loving it. I would actually prefer to do that all the time, but we have to go when we would go for a normal week, we would have to load up on steaks, and even before this hit, we would wipe out certain sections of meat depending on our meal plans because we needed so
Hmm.
much. And so, we didn't feel right doing that this time. I mean, like even if we
Right.
get hamburger meat now, we get like 2 packages. And then we'll
Hmm.
figure out other stuff to do, right? Get a package of steaks or just something like that. But yeah, our diet's just gone to trash too. More sugar, which is really bad. Um,
Easter, man. There was Easter candy was already bought, and I mean, sitting at home and at work working on eating Reese eggs. Just been awful. It's been awful.
but yeah, our diet's been the same way, but still trying to do what we can to keep the immune system like up in the vitamin D, doing the sauna daily, alternating between the cold tub, which, for the people that can't do it, cold showers,
I'm
because it
trying,
shocks your
man.
system, man. Shocks
I
it.
know that's what shocks. It makes me go into like I feel like I'm having a seizure or something, just sitting
That
here
that's
shaking. And
where the benefit comes from, though. So if you can sit there in the morning, right? What I suggest you do just to really get going for the day, do you take a shower in the morning or night?
in the morning.
Okay. So put on whatever song gets you hypest, right? That one song that no
Mhm.
matter what comes on, you're just ready to run through a wall.
Right.
And repeat it if you need to.
I'm sure I will.
Turn that shower on cold and just jump in. And when you get in, you have that seizure moment, but then just start focusing on your breath and meditating. And if you can get that under control, it's easy. But it forces you to calm down and really focus on your breath. And then that's where that magic happens. Because I'm the same way,
Mhm.
man. If I try to jump in, I have to give myself pep talks even to still jump in the cold tub these days. Like,
Well,
come on,
good.
man.
I won't feel so
Come
bad.
on.
I tried it a couple days, man. I'm just like, oh, turn the hot on, turn the hot on. I was like, Brandon's crazy,
3 minutes. If you can do it 3 minutes, man, you're golden.
but yeah, I didn't try the breathing thing. I didn't really do the song. I didn't do the tools. It was just cold turkey jump in there and literally cold turkey.
Yeah.
But I've read enough about it that that's why I want to do it, because I don't have near the pain I'm sure you do, but I battle gout and battle a lot of arthritis type stuff in my knees, and when days like this where I'm lifting tubs and drums and all that, I mean my body's taking a pounding. It feels it, and I think those kind of things would definitely help the irritation and the inflammation out a little bit. So I would love to get to it. Just right now, life needs to slow down a little bit so I can focus on a few things. Hell, I'd be trying to find that song you were talking about right now. It's the whirlwind, but at least since we're buying time, being busy like this, it's sped along. I mean, I can't believe it's already past the halfway point of April already, and
I know.
realistically, we might be in the middle of May before things really even slow down. And not that I want to rush life away by any means, because that kind of sucks. But getting back to normality, if it doesn't feel as long as what it does feel to some of these people that are letting this get to them a little bit more than others, I think I'm glad to be in the other group that
Yeah.
is seeing the calendar speeding through.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that's, the only thing that I'm really missing is sports. And I'm not even
Yeah.
missing it as bad as I thought it would be. But
Me
it's also
neither.
that time of year where I was pissed that March Madness got canceled because that's one of my
Mhm.
favorite just sporting
Yeah.
events, right? Uh,
Yep.
and
We
then
already had the big screen up in here and everything. We were ready.
and then Stanley Cup playoffs, right? I was worried about,
Mhm.
sucked to miss that, especially that the Predators were finally starting to make some headway and get back into the
Yeah.
thick of things. But yeah, I use this time to actually get stuff done because when fall comes around and football starts, yeah, it's hard for me to work on the weekends. So,
Yeah.
I
And you
don't know.
shouldn't have to.
Do what?
And you shouldn't have to, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't
That's the
know
beauty.
how the football season's going to be handled because, I'm more college, and if college gets pushed back, all right, it's going to be, I don't know.
Last I heard, NFL was talking about having a season without fans, and MLB was talking about half a season without fans. But that was a couple days ago, and I've also heard that MLB was talking about nothing still, just canceling the whole thing. So,
So I've heard a couple of different ones, like the Premier League soccer, English Premier
hmm
League. I've heard they're talking about getting all the teams taking a camp and kind of having, like a big summer camp area, right? And they just play there. Everyone's quarantined. I've heard the NBA talk about doing the same thing at a Vegas hotel. So, those hotels, the strips just shut down.
yeah,
So you can easily do that. Just test them all the time, right? USC's got the trademark for Fight Island today. So that's pretty cool. Have an
yeah,
island in the middle of nowhere and just everyone beat the hell out of each other.
that'd be awesome. I'll take a trip there.
Yeah, and then baseball, MLB, talking about having some type of camp situation as well. So there could be some stuff come out of that, but I don't know. I'm big into college sports more than pro, and
Yeah,
I think it'll be a while for them coming back up.
I do too. I think you know, I guess I'm mad because I love the Reds and that's our thing. That's how I met Kelly. The son and I share a real cool bond with baseball, and seeing baseball canceled for the first time has been kind of like, man, this really sucks. Kelly and I and the family would, between all of us, we'd go to probably 12, 13 games a year down there in Cincinnati. And that one's starting to affect me a little bit, just miss the opening day weekend that we would normally go down for. And so if I let myself focus on that a little bit, I think, oh man, this kind of sucks. But at this point, it'd be even worse if I was working this hard. I wouldn't be able to catch any games anyway. So
Yeah, yeah, true.
be
Though,
catching the
like
headlines.
if they just put up, I feel like you can put a pitching machine up, kind of have like batting practice. Everyone's social
Yeah,
distancing anyways.
exactly.
Like put a net up to catch the ball on first base to get him out instead of a first baseman. Have him play back a little bit. You can social distance.
hmm
Like,
Well, I mean, if you look at the diamond, everybody's social distance when they're
yeah,
playing out there, the batter and the catcher, but just make it mandatory. Umpire, catchers, and batters have to wear masks.
yeah. And then
There you go.
when you're on base, right? That's the only
Yeah,
other time that you're.
the dugout and the clubhouse would be the two places that it would be very hard to avoid contact.
Well, if you have no fans there, make the dugout go into the stands. Like social distance in the stand. Like, I mean,
That's a good point. I forgot about the no fans thing, and you're not going to have any employees there doing any concessions or anything. So, yeah, you pretty much have the whole ballpark. You could totally distance.
yeah. You just need to figure out like you said, the batter, catcher, umpire. Get rid of the damn umpire. If you have a damn pitching machine out there, set to some crazy speed. Right?
hmm
Something like that. If the
They
ball
could do
goes bad,
something.
who cares? Like, Right?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's going to be a little more lax with all the rules and all that, whatever they come up with, I'm sure. But I
Have you?
mean, have you heard any of this stuff about this stuff coming back in the fall, and there may be another outbreak coming? And is that part of what you're thinking too, as far as the normality by the end of the year is everybody's going to have to get that other wave of the typical fall flu, and this will be around for that too.
Well, like I said, I think there's going to be 3 waves of it coming through. So this is the first wave. Say we do open June 1st, right? We take your scenario, everything goes back to normal. Me personally, I'm gonna keep my butt inside for probably about another month if that
Me
happens.
too. Hmm.
And then, like I said, it doesn't change my day-to-day life hardly. So um I think then it'll stay open for a couple of weeks, and then I think another wave might hit. So say July, August ish, then you do that again, and then probably opens back up for the holidays because that's going to be tough
Oh,
when Thanksgiving and Christmas if you have to cancel those,
yeah,
right? Can't
those are
cook.
big ones.
I know for my wife's family, when we go to the in-laws, we have way more than 10 people there. Right. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
there's more than 10 kids that come there. And then you have all the grandparents, people with health conditions. So
might be the first year for a Zoom Thanksgiving.
yeah, we did a Zoom family call for Easter.
Yeah, we
And
did too. Well, my dad's birthday was it was April 6th. So we
yeah.
did a Zoom call for the whole family with like 13 little screens up there. It was kind of annoying, but better to do that than nothing. So,
But
but
yeah, I think
I think that's going to be the norm, a lot of the norm. If it's not necessary and you don't absolutely have to do it, then there's going to be a lot of that. And I think technology is going to spring up, and there's going to be some new Zooms, new things that have even more cool features, better bandwidth, whatever. So through these kind of things, evolution, people evolve and come up with some really cool innovations.
so. There's 2 issues that I just thought of that kind of worry me. One, I just recently heard, I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast too, one of those. So, he don't know, he's not an expert in this situation either, but he was talking about in India, there's a new strand of COVID-19. Like they have a different form of it, right? So if we get a vaccine or, they get this form under control, is that new form, like a mutation of it, is
Right.
that going to sweep through now? Is that like another wave we're going to have to fight? And then the bandwidth, right? Normally, me and you can do this and not have any internet issues, and we've already been
Right.
freezing a little bit here and there. I
Hmm.
have our internet, I can mark devices as priority and put all the speed on stuff. I'm still doing that here. I had to quit doing Facebook Lives because it couldn't keep up the bandwidth. Right. So
Yeah.
many people are at home. And then you have parents who are just putting, Netflix on for the kids, or they're doing online schooling all day. The
Yeah.
parents are having to work and stream all day. We don't even have cable. We do YouTube TV and Netflix.
We
So
yeah, we do too.
yeah. So if we do want to chill out and watch TV or something, we have to stream there. And
Yeah.
so can the internet hold? Right.
I said that to Kelly. I think it was the second or third day of this. I said, if this is for real and this is going to be this long, I sure hope Facebook, Google, and the internet all have plenty of server space that they didn't account for, because that bandwidth's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
I even started thinking about all of our websites and the ones that are still on my server account. Like, are they going to start hitting us for bandwidth? Do they have enough bandwidth to keep this going so that the sites don't go down? E-commerce is the only thing that is keeping a lot of things alive. And you're right, the internet's it can definitely continue to domino in the negative side of things and really inhibit us to be able to use the internet to make money.
Yeah. That,
To your
that,
point, they're gonna have to start throttling people that are just home accounts so that the businesses have more bandwidth, and likely probably get charged more. Supply and demand, right?
yeah.
Comcast tweaks that speed and gives everybody that speed. I wonder how many people have called to upgrade speed throughout this.
Yeah. Probably
That'd
a
be
lot.
an interesting thing to find, to hear from Comcast.
Yeah.
Because I mean, here we grab about it all the time. I'm like, hey, is your internet down? Oh, there it is. It kicked back on. I mean, we're having and have had over the last couple of weeks just flare ups of it just shuts off and then kicks back on. Today on this call, I've seen my Wi-Fi Wi-Fi kick off 3 times. So I think it is on my end that a lot of these problems are happening on our call today. So yeah,
And see,
maybe this is the start of it.
and you have faster speed than us, right? Because we were comparing before we started, and your speeds were higher, so you would think. But yeah, so I don't even think it's on the speed. It's like the network and the people around, and
Just the
no,
stability of it. It's just overloaded.
yeah, we do. We have like the Nest cams and stuff in our house,
Hmm.
and Alexa has like been unplugging some of that stuff just to not use the bandwidth, even though they're not really using. But every little bit helps. But like our Nest, I got an email saying, "Hey, we're lowering your quality over the next couple of weeks to reserve bandwidth." Right. So
Wow.
big
Okay,
companies
so
like
it
that.
is starting.
Yeah, it is. And we push this into the fall when it's cold. Like right now, in our neighborhood, people are always out riding bikes and walking and just sitting outside. So what happens on if it rains, like you're in Seattle, right? And it's just
Hmm.
raining for a month straight or whatever, and everyone's forced inside. Well, just using more and more of that bandwidth. Like you said, people are on their phones all day long. There's
I wonder if that's not part of the reason they're trying to push this thing, push it. It feels to me like even talking right now, they haven't even let the curve, and we haven't even hit the curve yet, is what they keep talking about, right? The top of the curve. Well, if you haven't hit the top of the curve of deaths and this, that, and the other, what's the downward slide? You act like it goes off of a cliff. Let's
yeah,
go get the businesses back May 1st. Well, around here, we're not even predicted to hit the top of the curve until like May 8th or May 10th or something like that, and
yeah,
it keeps getting pushed back further and further. So if you're trying to rush businesses and the economy, get the economy back to normal 2 weeks prior to what this peak is, well, how long did it take to get up to that curve top? And how long is it going to take to get down? You're still got infections and people here.
yeah,
So, it's like, to me, it just seems like it's completely rushed to try to do that for what? Is it because of the other things? What people are talking about as far as businesses that they lose completely, suicide rates and depression and da 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 da. I mean, what is being, I guess, considered, or what are the reasons to just rush this back other than the economy and the government can't afford to let people off this much longer, or they're going to crumble. I
yeah.
mean, so it feels to me as if they're making that decision. Hey, we know it's not really the right time, but we have no choice. You got to go back, be safe. We got to get this country going again.
But
And to that point, I mean, people have been out there since day one with a mask on, risking it at every, essential role out there. What's
yeah,
the difference if everybody just did the precautions and was a little, now that we're educated about it, a lot of people weren't at the very beginning because they didn't know anything about it. They
yeah.
know a little bit more, I think, maybe. So maybe that's the key right now, is just to get people back and be safe about it. If you don't have to go, if you're a Brandon, stay at home and do your thing. If you're somebody that absolutely has to, take the precautions and watch this curve slow. It might take longer for the end to happen, so to speak, but at least we're not trying to rebuild from a pile of rubble at
Yeah.
that point. I don't know. I mean, just throwing out different logics that I can think of as to why we would try to rush back from the government standpoint. Florida beaches, that's how much of that tourism and revenue is what they're losing out on right now. Is that why they're rushing back to open the beaches up? I haven't heard anything about Disney World opening back up. So is it just the coastlines that need the revenue? I mean, I don't know. A lot of questions, more than answers, but to me, it feels really pushed to not have
Well,
hit the top of the curve, but we're going to go back now.
Nashville is Music City, so
Hmm.
the whole town revolves pretty much on tourism and music and concerts and all that,
Hmm.
right? All that's canceled. I mean, they're
Right.
talking about, like, our local news was talking about concerts are probably going to be gone for the whole year, right? So if that's the case, yeah, you're pushing back, but I feel like you can still do things to boost the economy, but just pivot, right? Like we talked about with restaurants. Yeah, it sucks you can't go sit down and enjoy a nice restaurant, but honestly, I would rather have that brought here if I can have the same quality, because I could actually have a conversation with my wife.
Hmm.
It's not loud or I'm annoyed by something. You can have a party of 50 next to you that are screaming at the top of their lungs and ruin the whole experience, right? And
True.
you're paying
Right. Right.
for a massive, bill or whatever, and it ruins that. But I feel like there's so many businesses that can still pivot and get through this. Yeah, retail is going to take a hit, but it was already taking a hit. I mean, how
Hmm.
many retail shops closed last year, went under bankruptcy because people don't shop out anymore. They order
Right.
everything online. So why can't you still continue to do online? You know, like grocery stores, why can't you just the same the cashiers, why can't they turn into delivery drivers? And just, you know, instead of having people go in there, if that, you know, and grocery stores are a little bit different, but you know, just as an example, why can't you just have everybody just become delivery people and just driving and dropping off, you know, everything? Like to me, there's no need to, just because I'm bored at home, I don't need to have a movie theater open, right? I like how movie companies are pivoting and giving you the option to watch in home or theater movies at home on the day they're
Hmm.
released. That's awesome,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I know there's experiences. People love going to the theaters. They love getting away from their families or their kids or whatever and doing that. But think about it, you spend what, $50 if you go to movies for two people? By the time it's if you get
Yeah,
drinks
by
and
the time you get the popcorn,
yeah,
yeah, easy.
you pay $20 at home and you get to own the movie, get to order pizza, drink beer, do whatever you want to do to enjoy
Yeah.
that and spend let
No,
I feel
think
like
of the romantic options that we all have now. You can go pick up that food, take it to a park. You can take it to a lake. You can take it, and you never used to think of doing that. Females ought to have their men all thinking romantically right now with all this curbside stuff, right? I mean, you're right. Every business has the opportunity right now. I mean, I don't want to say every because I haven't really thought them all through, but
yeah,
I think it would be a really fun call, wouldn't it, if we all got on and had like a little video game kind of thing going on, like here's the business, you got 30 seconds to come up with a pivot for
yeah.
it. I mean, just name a business that you couldn't pivot right now. It'd be interesting. I'd like to see if maybe we should get John to throw something like that together on one of these live calls one night. We'll just all get on and have a list of all the businesses that are most challenging to pivot and brainstorm. You know, it'd be good content for people to put out in their local area for people that are struggling for ideas. Might be a great way to get a business coaching client down the road.
I think bars, restaurant, like not even restaurants, but bars, movie theaters, those type of, you know, skating rinks, maybe like entertainment type places are the hardest ones to pivot.
Yeah,
Everybody else can find a way to pivot one way, shape, or form. So I mean,
those
like,
are some good examples. I'd have to really think deep and hard about a skating rink or something like that. That'd be a little tough. Take a skating rink to the. Although, if you started thinking about selling gift cards to the skating rink for when it is back open, you could still sell skates, skate wear, skate this, lessons, videos on how to skate better, where the competitions are at. I mean, all kinds of content that you could be doing and keeping yourself afloat. I'm not saying that you can hit the same revenue numbers as having a physical place to come into, but you also the part that I know I've been noticing, and this may sound bad, but there's also, in business, you can look at your gross, but then the most important thing is you look at your net. Well, there's a lot of bills and things that you're not paying now that you were. There's a lot of things that you're being kind of let off of the hook for. No late fees on things, and you got to add that all in too. When those two employees made the choice to go on unemployment, that freed up several $1,000s a month that I had budgeted and whatever. So you got to factor that too. What's your labor percent? 15, 20% or whatever. Well, that means there's, if you just save 2 grand there, that's 10,000 in sales you didn't have to make that month to pay for them. So, there's a lot of those things that I think are hidden in there that that skating rink probably doesn't have near the overhead and the expenses. So if it could generate 50% of the revenue or 25% of the revenue, it may be enough to survive. And I think to the point, that's what people haven't hit yet. Just like in anything, until the government says no, you're not getting that extra 600, you're going to trade 600 for 275.
yeah,
Now you're in a survival mindset. Now I have to go grind and work, not because I want to or I've got a solid mindset that I'm trying to achieve certain goals. I have to eat. Until the government lets people feel that pain of I won't eat unless I go grind and work, then they're not. They're going to sit and love being in quarantine.
I think that's life in general, though, even before quarantine, right? If you're not
Pretty
hungry,
much.
you're not going to go out there and grind and find a way to feed yourself. And so you just sit back and you're lazy and you don't push through. right? The people that are hungry and want something, they go after it and they go get it. But
I
you
think
know,
it is the same. This is just the spotlight's on it now. There's
yep,
never been a spotlight. It's been the common day place. We all know the lazy get taken care of in this country, and the ones that work their tail off, and who knows where they end up. But I think this is where it's just shining a spotlight on the government. It's putting a spotlight on businesses now. Where if you're pivoting and you're doing well with it, you're getting the good spotlight, and if you're not, you're going to be in the dark, and there is not going to be a light on you. And I think that's just reality where we're at. I mean, this is kind of like survival of the fittest, man.
yeah,
Um, it's
the
in
Hunger
my
Games
mind,
of
it's just
business.
honestly, I feel like it levels the playing field for the small guys too, in a
It
certain
does.
respect.
Yeah,
Even though I was talking a little bit different than that with the American Airlines earlier, if you have more money, you can make more money.
yeah,
And this is chopping people's legs to the core, to where people like me who couldn't get certain breaks or couldn't get certain things, or didn't. I mean, I couldn't sell sanitizer in the 10,000 count load before this all hit, right? It rewards people for innovation and grind, and where before you could grind like this and I wouldn't have near the type of people that are recognizing and seeing this. I mean, we have a captive audience sitting at home, and they're constantly on their phones right now. I mean,
yeah,
that's what we have. And for the foreseeable future, I think that's what we're going to have. So the ones that are survive are going to figure out the ones that will provoke an action with those people on the phone, and those people that have the money that are getting paid right now by the government to make that choice. They're going to be spending money.
yeah.
So figure out what they're buying and sell it to them and survive. It's pretty simple.
A point you brought up that had me thinking too is you said those costs, right? Businesses are looking at what they're saving. How many businesses are looking right now and saying, "Oh crap, we're paying $18,000 a month for this lease when everybody's working at home and we're getting the same amount of productivity, we're hitting them out around the same amount of sales or close to it, or if we're not, it's offsetting because we're not having these built right." So if you take away all that, like that's why I love an Amazon business. We ship them however many units we want to ship them, and they warehouse it all. So they're paying that warehouse and space. They're paying the electric bill. They're paying the water bill, whatever else bills that they have at that place. And we're sitting here. We just need to pay internet, right? We pay our
Yeah.
internet. We're good.
And your
So
RV payment
yeah, right, or whatever.
that you're
Like
going to have.
yeah, and so I think there's a lot of businesses that could sit there. Let's take the boutique, right? Your wife's boutique. Even though she's old school, let's say she wakes up tomorrow and is like, you know what? I like this delivery. I'm going to do that. Maybe I'm going to start doing in home services where I'll bring wardrobes over and you can try them on and we do private, you know, dressings or whatever and charge a little bit more to do that because people will pay that to have that one on one service. And then, oh, I don't need this big overhead building anymore, right? Like I know around here, and we're in a nice area south of
Hmm.
Nashville, boutiques close all the time.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
these small businesses, like a lot of them just don't stay open because they don't get the foot traffic, but yet they have these massive, lease payments or rent payments that they have to do. I think there's going to be a lot of companies from office, just office buildings, um, e-commerce companies, all kinds of ones that just take a step back and cut a lot of that out. And then that's going to start, having a domino effect in like the commercial real estate industry and all that too. So
Hmm. Yeah, I do see that. I think you're right on that. I can also see in that case with the boutique kind of going the other direction. I think some of your bigger um, retailers are going to see the hit, not your Walmarts and all that are providing groceries, but your
yeah,
TJ Maxx's and those type of stores, to where the boutiques offer that personal experience, that smaller kind of feel that. And I
yeah,
think with those other companies not necessarily being there, I think if the boutiques could get that price thing figured out to where they're not astronomically higher for those little
yeah,
services that they kind of provide, and they can get in that sweet spot, which I think is where Kelly's trying to pivot to be in that spot where you're 20-30% higher maybe, but not 100% higher
yeah,
on certain clothes. I mean, some of these boutiques getting $65-$75 for a sweatshirt that's got a vinyl stamped on saying on it. I mean, come on, people. That's only so long you're going to be able to woo woo and wah, that kind of thing. But I think, that could actually offer some up. I think there's still some big monsters that are going to go
Oh
under.
yeah.
It's just a matter of time. And I think if we pay close attention to those things, there's going to be opportunities everywhere for everybody that's
I
paying
think
attention to them.
I think you're going to have companies like Amazon, Apple, that just start buying up companies left and right. Like Apple has trillions of dollars in cash, in the bank.
Hmm.
Like they can go buy Netflix right now. They can go buy Disney right now.
Yeah.
Like what
It's kind of scary, really.
exactly. Amazon
It's
same way,
scary.
right? They can go up and snatch up Target and whoever else if they just want to start,
Let,
Kohl's,
let,
all these companies.
just for the record, let Amazon know they can snatch up Suds fundraising anytime they'd like.
Same here, man.
um,
You want to
Well,
make
I
it.
mean, and the kind of, yeah, exactly, and kind of it is. John and I talked about it the other day. I said, even though it's kind of funny, when he said, "What's your big goal for Suds fundraising?" I said, "Amazon to buy it," and he was like, "For real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, think about it. The only two things that we struggle with to make this awesome, and Amazon's great with their Smiles program and their Give Back. The only thing we've yet to figure out is the logistics for shipping that type of weight and the distribution to the actual schools, the dollars to be able to put that kind of infrastructure together. We were talking about the distributors and the people on the streets and all that. You wouldn't need that if you had the online platform that could do it and the money behind it and then the shipping ability.
Yeah.
Amazon has every bit of that. So
The shipping
that's
ability is
exactly what I'm
insane too, because the rates that they have negotiated, like it don't matter how big Suds gets, how big my business, it does not matter.
nope.
How big, we're never going to touch those rates.
No.
I mean,
It's amazing when you're big enough to buy UPS, how much UPS will hook you up. Yeah, you're right. You and I are not going to see that day.
but
But in the
Amazon is
grand scheme,
they are suspending their delivery service. So the Prime vans and stuff that come around, they're taking that down June 1st, for a while. So I think you know I kind of think UPS and the post office and everybody's kind of taking a hit, but we just don't know it yet. And so I think they're kind of doing it to push that back
I
up to
wonder
kind of
how. I mean, how could these delivery places? I would have thought. I'm thinking they're the biggest booms. I mean, they're talking about having deliveries that are a lot like Cyber Monday and that whatever
well
that
that's
Friday
for
shopping deal's called.
that's a lot for like the e-commerce and like the Amazon side of it. But think about um, local manufacturing plants and stuff that really use, those shipping services that aren't essential and are shut down right now. Right.
Yeah, I just feel like the influx from all the other ones that aren't should be
Yeah.
making that difference up at this point. I've got a buddy who works for UPS, and he's like, "Man, we're seeing like
Record. Yeah.
the November. What's that day? That the biggest
Black
shopping
Friday.
day? The Black Friday. Yeah, he goes, we're seeing Black Friday kind of stuff right now.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, there are some businesses that are getting torched by this, and then there's some that are making out like bandits on it, and just whichever one outdoes the other one, I think will keep those other ones, you know, kind of floating like UPS and FedEx and all that.
Yeah. I've
It'll
always
be
thought
interesting to
Amazon
see.
would buy UPS. I've always thought that. Like,
Do what?
I always thought that Amazon would buy UPS.
I did too. I kind of still think one of these days. I don't know. UPS is pretty large though, and as bad as FedEx is becoming, I think UPS is getting that FedEx, man. I used to use them all the time for everything. Their rates are so much higher. I
Mhm.
mean, just it's not even a comparison anymore between the two. I would never choose FedEx unless I had if it was the only option really.
Yeah.
Maybe DHL. I'd probably still take it over DHL, but I don't know. If UPS is on there, I'm going that route.
Yeah. I always, we either do UPS or the post office. It's
Yeah,
just,
that's same
yeah.
here. Yep,
I
same
can't even
here.
remember the last time I shipped anything FedEx. I don't even know where a
Yeah,
FedEx store is.
I'm
Or
surprised that UPS hasn't made a play to buy FedEx out.
yeah.
Surprised. I mean, I think that would be the next logical thing, and I think that's what's going to happen. Though you're going to see some big fallouts. You're going to see some big mergers. You're going to see, you're going to see some. I think come out of this massive. I mean, like you said, Apple's going to buy up Amazon's going to buy up, and they're going to make some people real happy and bigger, make their brand bigger. And then there's just obviously going to be some monsters that fall. What do we hear in the restaurant industry this week's headlines was Cheesecake Factory was one, and
Oh, really?
the Brio, the Italian place, and Lone Star Steakhouse, all three, announced filing Chapter 11 or 13 or whatever. So not
Wow.
sure which one, if it's going to be a restructuring or if it's for real done or what, but that was the headline. I won't speak to the legitimacy of it yet, but at least from a headline perspective, it seems like that's the first of the biggies to start. Not that Cheesecake Factory is, I guess, huge, but I mean, it's well known for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody would have thought they would be going out of business as they continue to pop them up all over the place before this happened.
Well, they did have a headline like a month ago when this started, and they straight up told everybody that they had to pay rent too, that we're not paying rent this month. So,
Well, I guess
like, you
maybe
could go
the
back and
headline.
look at that. They just straight up they're like, we're not paying rent. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're going under now. But
Right.
yeah,
And I guess that's not necessarily what I was hoping and thinking, along the lines of, bills that you don't have to pay necessarily as much or whatever as you were. The bottom line of expenses are going to go down for some companies during this. And I guess Cheesecake was one of them when they said they're not going to pay the rent, right? But
so, hell, that just brought up another thing that I thought of. Mortgages are being postponed for like 3 months.
yeah,
Well, it depends on who owns your loan. Depends what happens after those 3 months. So if
good
it's
point.
like FHA or if it's the lender that owns it, yeah, you can probably move those 3 months to the back of your loan. No harm, no foul, right? Keep going. But a lot of people are going to have that June 1st or July 1st payment. July 1st. They're going to have to pay all 4 months at once.
Which
So,
is impossible. I mean, they're not going to be able to. I
exactly.
mean, the banks are going to be forced to do it, period. The federal government's going to have to come in. And same thing with utility companies. If you're not paying your utilities now, because let's just say you're one of the ones that is financially impacted severely on
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
um, your stimulus money can maybe go to help that or whatever. Um, but if you're not getting the stimulus money to do that, or you're going to choose to do something silly with it that you're
There
not
you
supposed to do with it, then
go.
you're going to be in the same boat. $200-300 worth of utilities or more, depending on where you live. 3-4 months of that jacks up. They're going to come wanting their $1,200 just because they can't charge you late fees. They'll be able to start turning you off. And before, 200 was easy to come up with if you had to shut off, but 1,200 is going to be a little tougher. Same thing, cell phones, they're doing the same thing. I hear they're not shutting you off right now, but they're not giving you a break on anything. Your bill's mounting up, and at whenever time they say, they're in control. So that's why I read something from the day, like, who is it? That guy that wrote the book,
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey posted something that, hey, just a reminder as you're getting your tax return and your stimulus money and da 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 da, that you really shouldn't be buying that 80-inch Samsung. You should be buying, buying your rent and paying your utilities and doing that kind of thing, because they will come running and begging you for the money and shutting you down at some point, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 8 months. Some point the gravy train is going to be done, and they'll want it all right now. I think the government's going to have to come in and play something and mandate that you can't get your utilities shut off. You can have a 6-month payment plan to pay more to catch back up or something. But the idea of mortgage companies and these people just expecting the general public to just, snap off 5-6 payments worth just because now it's over. I mean, that's not going to happen if you were truly financially impacted.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of questions and a lot of things that it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I know for me, I'm kind of I'm definitely tired and would love some sleep and a couple days off. But from the fun and the excitement and the experience, like self-employed people can get in a rut to where it's just the same mundane stuff every day, whether you're making good money or not. At some point, money doesn't really mean as much, and you want the thrill, you want the fun. And I think this for me is bringing that back, like to see you sprout up a literally, other than a new business name and registering it with the state, you practically can form a new business literally overnight and do $100,000 in income the first night or the first 30 days. Like, I mean, how do you? I mean, that's exciting. That's fun. Like, where's another opportunity? I want to do this again. This is cool. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just to each his own how you take this and what you bring out of it. be
Yeah, I see
miserable and
like
upset, or you be excited.
yeah, I see greener pastures ahead for us if this maintains. And
I
I
do too.
hate to say it, but the longer it maintains, the greener it gets. And it's,
I I hate to say it too. I'm glad you did, not me.
I know it's like,
I told my wife the other day, I said, I hope this goes till September. I
yeah,
mean,
I
well,
was
actually,
gonna
I'll
say
say
that,
August because I'd like the schools to be back in August because Suds is definitely the.
but
But the thing that we're doing here locally is very scalable to other local counties, and then you just bring somebody in, hire them. I mean, we could scale it and totally just pivot, and this may become the new way for fundraising too. Through every one of these type of crisis, I think there's
you
really
get
cool
hooked up
stuff
with
that'll come
UP. You said UPS is calling though. Yeah, they put your hand sanitizer in all their warehouses and in every truck. You're probably not going to want to be fundraising next August, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I
You
mean, you
never
might
know.
just be hooking up with UPS, and then once you land UPS, oh, well, you could easily go land some other big companies because you have them in your back pocket. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, things could change drastically. Like you said, it changes daily.
it
So,
does. Yeah.
something could come out next month or next week, and sky's falling even further. But for companies that are pivoting and stuff like y'all, I mean, y'all could. Who
I mean,
knows?
the government could come out tomorrow and say, "Hey, we were just kidding. Sanitizer doesn't do anything. Just wash your hands and you're good." And I've got to be ready for something else because that's
Yeah,
no matter whose relationships you have with UPS and all that. When they speak, it seems like everybody listens and jerks. So, at that point, I'm glad I've got a lot of irons in the fire that I can move to if I need be, because you
yeah,
never know. Everybody sitting at home idle on their phones is good for us to a certain extent, but then depending on what the next headline, it can make major changes and drastic moves that you need to make that weren't necessarily the type of risky moves that we would have to make on the fly like we used to.
yeah,
I remember back in the days when you could contemplate an idea for a couple weeks or even a month and really lay out the pros and cons, and now you have like an hour to do that. I mean, literally, that's what I had the other day. It's $22,000 alcohol purchase, and I had an hour to commit, and with no POs, no nothing necessarily, just quotes and hopes and dreams. But I know when those come through, they're going to want their product yesterday. How am I going to do that if I'm on a week or two? You know, and that's where everybody was at, bottles and alcohol. Everybody, hey, I don't have any. I'm waiting a week, waiting 2 weeks, and I'm like, I've got it, and I've got more coming. So
see, that's
there's that
hard.
good side, but if the demand's still there, you played it right. If the demand's not there, you're not going to like life.
Yeah,
So we'll just have to see how it goes. But to your point, it was very cool this week that I got the kids all ramped up to where they could literally run the line themselves. Now, next week, I can focus on what I'm supposed to be focusing on, and that's selling and bringing in more of the business for them to do.
yeah.
Um, Being in there mixing and bottling and doing all that, definitely. I mean, I think it's been 5 days, 6 days since I've really put up any kind of good post, a video, or anything. So I've got to get back to that content and that kind of thing to keep this thing rolling. But like you said, it may end up being something that's all we do after this is sanitizer, and it may just be something that after a month or so we've never even see sanitizer again. Who knows? Just depends on how the market goes.
I don't know. I don't see it going away because I think more than anything, people are going to be more germophobic. Is that even a word? Uh,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it is now. If it's not,
yeah, it is now, right? So I
yeah,
think people are going to be more worrisome of that. Are people going to handshake? Are they going to hug? Are they going to,
yeah.
what's going to happen? Is everyone just going to start chest bumping each other? Or, who knows what's going to happen out of this? But I know for a fact, like me, it'll probably be in my mind to be a little bit more careful, watch my hands more, especially if you're like in places like New York and riding subways and trains and right, you're probably going to want to wear all kinds of PPE and stuff before you get
Hmm.
on that thing. So
Well, and I agree with you, and I think that's even more important for me to make those old school connections because I can't rely on a Facebook or Amazon because sanitizer is a very similar feel to what CBD was a year or so ago.
yeah,
You couldn't advertise it, you couldn't boost a post, you couldn't do anything with it. And sanitizer appears to be the same way. So, you know, maybe one of these times I'll find a product I can actually get on Amazon without a lot of stress. If that's such a thing. But I don't see sanitizer being something I'm going to get on Amazon or any of the big ones. So you're left with UPS and the local to get up to the bigger people and try to network and it's fun because it's old school networking, short of the yellow pages being there. You're still networking and having conversations over the phone and making deals happen over the phone. And that's kind of cool too, that it's not just a click 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 buy, click 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 buy.
Yeah, there's a phrase I always like to remember, and it's you got to do real company shit, right? RCS,
Yeah,
and that's what that is. I mean,
I like it. I'm using it from here on out.
that's exactly what you're doing. You're getting on the phone, right? Back in the day before the internet, what did people do? They knocked on door to door and sold you
Hmm.
sanitizer,
Yep.
right? Or laundry detergent or whatever it was. So, man, it puts you on a different level, right? Because a
It
lot of
does.
people aren't doing that. I mean, they're sitting there trying to figure out how to make a Facebook ad to sell hand sanitizer when it's going to get taken down, or
Yeah.
instead of sitting picking up the phone, calling people and making sales. I mean,
That's
yeah.
that's what I'm excited for next week. Now that I know I'm not going to be making it all week and designing a plumbing hose assembly deal, I've got the line now to be efficient. They're putting out, I think the kids are putting out about 220 bottles an hour,
Oh wow.
um, which I mean, in perspective, when you're getting 10,000 bottle orders isn't super exciting, but knowing that we were putting out 100 a day when we first started this, in 28 days we've been able to, you know MacGyver and redneck engineer stuff to, I mean, literally we have $84 in that assembly that allowed us to go from 100 a day to 220 an hour. So I mean, those kind of things are cool, and those things are, and to be quite honest, it's what I believe I am going to write the book on, because I've been wanting to write a book, been wanting to do a podcast. And John and I talked last week, and I was like, dude, I'm thinking this podcast just needs to be interviewing people that made pivots. That's going to be fresh, cool content for a long time. I'll be able to share my story along with that to promote, and then come out with a book about the pivot, And I think I told John, I said, I'm thinking this title called The Clean Pivot, being the sanitizer. He goes, dude, I love the name. Oh my God, you're already there. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, the coaching thing just changed from here on out
Oh, you froze
the
up.
end of this year. So I told John in the last call, I said, so here, your new mission is every coaching call will be chunking off so that both of those are completed by the end of the year. That's like your whole new mission for my coach. So we'll give it a shot. Up till now, I've wanted to do those things, but I didn't know what in the world I'd do it about. Would it be
Yeah.
all natural stuff? Would it be the fundraising business? I mean, none of them really I felt like had any kind of real meat to them or hook to it, because I was so diverse. But now it's like, no, this pivot has completely given me a whole nother, I think, thing to do, and the attention that it's gotten, and kind of, it seemed logical to me, but a lot of people have used the word brilliant and all that. So it seemed to me I could really help some people out if I could put that out there and make that story happen. And I want to hear about their other people's stories. I'm definitely going to get my Roadhouse guy on here and kind of take him back to the, how did you come up with just selling your raw steaks out there in butcher type packs, and like that stuff's cool. Like, I think that's interesting, and I definitely think it will provoke other people to think of ideas too, from that. I mean, how many
Well,
ideas have you had that spun off of somebody else's that were something you could resonate with, but it was totally different in your world?
yeah.
So
Yeah, when you posted that Texas Roadhouse thing, I thought that was like a normal, everyone was doing it for Texas Roadhouse. And so
yeah,
I
no,
started looking at our local ones because the prices were comparable to us going to the butcher and get.
right,
I'm like, when I saw those prices and everything you get, I'm like, I want that. Like, can I
right,
get that local? And I couldn't. So man, I love that was like one of my favorite pivots out of this whole thing that I've seen
me
was
too.
yeah,
Yep.
because I mean
Well,
that's
and there was another local restaurant who they had probably, I'd say, top three nicer places to come. Ambiance was cool. They have a chef there. I mean, and for our little town of 35,000 people, I mean, there's like two chefs, maybe three, that actually work at restaurants, right? This guy goes out and buys a box truck and completely starts a taco truck,
yeah.
like curbside taco truck type of thing. And to me, that was like, a taco truck's not ingenious. Everybody, we've seen that
Yeah,
for a while, but somebody that was doing, the name of the place was Cordial Cork. They're a wine, and they pair it with really nice, desserts and da 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 da. And this place goes to a street taco truck, and they've done well with it. I mean, it's kind of cool to see some of the ingenuity that has come out of here, even locally, you know.
So I said
So
the same thing with the barbecue place. So Martin's Barbecue is like one of the famous barbecue places here in Nashville. Like they're world
I've
famous.
heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they do on those subdivision nights, they have 3 meals you can pick from. And it's like a 4 pack, family or feeds like 2 to 4 people. And it's a barbecue pack with like 2 sides and, normal family barbecue style meal. The second one feeds like 4 to 6 people, and the last one's like 8 to 10. And you can sub brisket. There's not many other options, right? And so I'm like, why don't they just get a massive truck and have it like buffet style inside there and just drive around street to street, and you can go out there and order a family pack of what you want, right? Like just like a taco truck, instead
Hmm.
of calling in the order saying, "Hey, I want, meal number 1," and then they go to deliver, right? They just drive around and just scoop it out in styrofoam
It's almost like
boxes.
the ice cream truck idea.
Yeah, right. Put on some
Yeah,
music, some barbecue music, and
exactly.
put on a
Some
banjo.
backyard barbecue. Yeah. No, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who runs a barbecue place. I ought to give him an idea. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of those stories out there that are super cool to listen to and kind of inspirational and might help other business people pivot. And at least at right now, that's to me, that's the best idea for me to want to do a podcast for content.
Mhm.
And eventually down the road, I see myself doing more small business type stuff, coaching once I get mine running and I'm not in it necessarily every day, all day long like this. That's really where I want to go with it. And I know John's got a plan for it to get there. So, this seems very logical for the first step of kind of get outside of just doing something very specific within one of the businesses. This is more of a topical 10,000-foot view on just business
Yeah.
in general. And through this time, I know if I was sitting at home and I had, a business that I didn't know what to do with, and I could listen to a podcast that's got story after story of people saying what they did. I mean, it's not going to be too late to pivot for quite some time, I would think.
It'll never
I
be too
mean,
late to pivot. We're always going to have to
yeah.
pivot. I mean, think about e-commerce is still an infant, or well,
Hmm.
it's a toddler, right? So, um, when I first got into the Amazon game, e-commerce accounted for like 1% of all sales, and then it doubled, right? So, like 2 years ago, it was at 4%, right? Last year is like 8. This year is a lot different, so it's probably going to shoot up. But I mean, it's still early on,
Hmm.
but we're still having to pivot now. All right, if Amazon goes under tomorrow, and they easily could, right? Jeff Bezos is crazy enough. He could be like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Flip the switch, cut it off. Like he has enough money. It's not going to
Hmm.
affect him, right? And he's already been known to be a little stingy. All right. So
True.
you can easily see something happen. So what happens there? Well, you're going to have thousands upon thousands of companies that have to pivot overnight, right? Maybe they pivot to Walmart. Maybe they pivot to Shopify, whatever it is. So businesses and pivoting is going to be around forever. So I mean, you set up
Good
that
point.
way, it's an endless stream of content because the
That's true.
world
That's
is
true.
we're always changing, always changing. I mean, health stuff changes all the time. When did you hear about a cold tub? Did you hear about that stuff 10 years ago? I mean, you did in football and sports,
Right,
right?
but from a personal use thing, I think I saw it maybe a month before you were doing it, or
Yeah.
before I saw it on your Instagram. I'm like, wait a minute, I saw that.
Like
And
saunas are
cryotherapy. I think
big.
somebody hit me up for the Route 40. They hit me up with the cryotherapy and us starting to sell it.
Yep.
And they had their setup and their equipment and all that. They came in, and I think we peeked at it then, and I read about it, and I was like, wow, that could really help because that's what we do. We specialize in inflammation management from a natural level, and so yeah, cryotherapy, those infrared, the red bulbs. I mean, we've researched and kind of started playing and testing a lot of different things to
Yeah.
help people keep that inflammation down. So you're right, though. Pivoting is going to be a part of business always. I mean,
Yeah, just
just has
information.
a different name to it in a different context now, but
Yeah,
it's really just like you said, real business shit. I mean, that's what you do in real business all the time. So
but I mean, like with that, I just lost my train of thought. Hell, I don't know.
I do that all the time, brother, all the time.
That was a good point I was going to make too.
I know it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It was something about the pivoting, but
the
like,
pivoting.
yeah, endless stream of content, stuff changes just so much. I mean, I think that's just a golden opportunity for you because every industry is gonna be affected one way or another. We're not done with these viruses, right? Like you're gonna have military, say North Korea, no one likes him, so they're gonna see, oh, you can shut down the world with something, right? Oh, I can cripple the world economy while we're over here just hanging out and then enjoying our horrible lifestyle, right? So
Scary.
it's scary what could come out of this in the future. You're gonna
Hmm.
have more natural stuff that just comes out, and new viruses form. It's just nature, right? So
True.
who knows? So yeah, it's gonna be. I
I
think.
think you're positioned great in the supplement business for pivots based on that. I mean, let's be real, immune system and building the immunity so that it takes on the
Yeah,
things that we've taken on before. This is not going to be anything different. People are already showing immunity to it, you know? So yeah, whether it converts into the ninth strain or the 10th strain or whatever, that's what life is all about, is building, immunity to it. So I think your supplement, our stuff, I think anybody dialed into that natural way and the natural way of living is going to prosper with the right education based content.
yeah,
Because like I said, you're going to drop off. There's going to be so many places that drop out. The competition level is not going to be as high as it was when this is all over with. I mean,
no,
there's just going to be natural fallout, period.
yeah. I'm
So,
already
I think,
seeing it across the board in a lot of companies and a lot of niches. I mean, just so many people shutting down or are moving to something else. Suppliers can't keep up. I mean, our biggest issue right now is just keeping inventory in stock. Right, sales are
mhm,
through the roof, and they're limited in staff and production, so it slows everything down. So what went from a 10-day window is now a 20-day window, right? So it just continues on, but
yeah, I think, well, like Spiritware, right? For us, we had a local baseball league come out and say we're going to open up and let you guys practice again and start getting ready for the season to still have one May 1st. As soon as that happened, man, every customer we had calling, hey, did you guys get all those changes we need? When's that? I said, guys, the factory that makes these for us is still shut down. There's nothing I can do for you, nothing I can tell you. I can work out something, but and as soon as this gets pushed off to May 15th, May 30th, whatever again, then it'll all quiet down again. But
yeah,
we can't get it from the suppliers, just like you. Alcohol, I mean, all of it. We're all facing. Normally, essential oils I could get in 2 to 3 days. They're taking 17 days to process orders at this point.
oh wow,
What do
yeah,
you do? I mean, who's going to really do well are people that can manage that tug of war and manage that how much I have, how much I'm buying, how much I'm willing to sell, and continue to grind the phone for more relationships. I had 2 places that I could get alcohol from in the first 2 weeks that we started needing to buy alcohol. 2 weeks later, I've got 9. I mean, we sat on thomasnet.com and waited on hold and waited for the right company that had extra alcohol that were willing to sell it. I could have easily made the first few calls and went like, screw this. We'll just go stand in line with everybody else and continue to buy it at the local store 2 at a time and, grind that little thing out. And we would sell, 100 bottles a week.
yep,
Um, but, so I think there's just some of that grind and just some of that know-how of just knowing where to go, knowing who, the connections to, it just spreads like wildfire, when in this kind of market. So just keep
yeah.
looking for those cool opportunities and, hopefully become the Amazon buying out all the companies that didn't see the pivot.
Yeah, that's another opportunity, right? There could be local
Um,
companies or companies that you can just add to your portfolio and put your spin on
yeah.
it and ride with it.
I'm already starting to look for the ones that are struggling and keeping my ear to the grind on these laundry detergent fundraising companies because the spread between the number one company, number two, number three in the Midwest, which is pretty much where the laundry detergent fundraiser started, and has not gotten too much further than that because of the logistical problem.
Yeah,
Um, we're starting. I'm already looking for those type of opportunities where these little guys just, schools are shut down. That was their way of making their living. I know several that it's a husband wife gig or it's one of the two. That's just I know one that's a teacher full time and just runs this on the side. I mean, there's no there's not going to be any value for them in it to continue to grind and work hard up against the wall like you're talking about. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not easy for you. You're looking for new suppliers, and you've got to be on the phone doing that real business shit. There's people that just don't want to do that. They're just not willing to do it, or they don't need to do it. Maybe they've got a spouse that's knocking them dead with something else, and this is a good time for them to say, it's not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
Great. Those are opportunities that I can come in and just buy out lists and buy out customers, buy out relationships.
Yeah.
That I'm definitely keeping my
Have
eye out for those.
a husband and wife that are at each other's throats because they're quarantined for however many weeks and can't make it.
Right. Right here.
Well, me and Mandy,
No, we've been doing pretty good so far.
we've been joking. We're like, we've been practicing for this for years. Like this is
right.
we have been working
Kelly's
from
having
home.
the real tough.
Yeah, we've worked
Kelly's
from home
having
together since 2014.
Oh yeah, you guys are pros now.
Yeah, April of 2014 is when Mandy quit her job and started working from home. Every day since then, we've been together. Like, unless it's a conference and, someone goes out of town or something like that. So I was like, we've been practicing for this, so we're fine. But it does help that we have a pretty big house and could separate and go do our own little things. So if we were in a tiny apartment, it might be a little bit different story. But
Right.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of
I know she's dying to get back to the boutique. She misses her customers, misses that routine of going in every day and dressed nice, and she's struggling with that because she hadn't got online and started doing any of that. She had just started getting into the Facebook, selling on Facebook a little bit, just for content, not really counting it for sales. And I know she got a big spike the other day when she came up. She goes, "Hey, I just came up with this idea. What about some loungewear?" And she showed me this camo outfit. I'm like, "That's pretty cute." I'm like, the cool thing about Facebook right now is you can post it. You're not paying anything. If people buy it, great. If they don't, it didn't cost you a thing. Try it. She sold like 7 sets. And I mean, literally, it was just placing an order, and it gets here, and she puts it in a bag and takes it to their house, and probably made 2 or 3 times the cost on it.
And
Like,
honestly,
do that. Just
yeah.
keep doing that.
And Facebook's probably one of the not as good ones, right? You get that going on Instagram, build a better Instagram following. That's more of a fashion and clothes. Like, people are used to that. They have buyable stuff. You get Pinterest with buyable pins now. You got all this Mercari and Poshmark. I mean, you can just be.
There's so many opportunities out there if you could just get the help. I mean, where we're at here, it's just not having that kind of the human resources or the marketing team or the whatever. We've been kind of in constant building, trying to build that. But not having that and her not knowing much about the internet, that limits her, I think, from the boutique side of being able to, and myself, I'm just new to e-commerce too, really. We put together our WooCommerce site 3 or 4 years ago just for teams to have a place to put the order in. The real reason we did that was because it was a he said, she said on missing product. Well, I called that in and we're missing 3 buckets of blue. And I'm like, that's $100 to ship that.
Yeah.
And there's no way to tell if it's their fault or ours. So we eat it for good customer relationships. I'm like, this is silly. If we had an online system, the transparency, if it's off, they're the ones that put the order in. We filled exactly what they told us to and paid for it.
Yeah.
And since then, I mean, we've literally spent them $7,000 or $8,000 a year that we tracked that we don't lose now that we were losing before, and just that kind of thing. So, I think as I get more involved with the e-commerce and understand it a little bit more, and hopefully do well enough to where we can maybe push that off to somebody that knows how to do it, so I don't have to do it.
Well,
that's part that's hard for me, man. I'm a grinder and I like to do it, and I got to learn to get people that are better than me at that stuff and let them do it.
The same way, man. And anytime, man, that y'all need help with e-commerce or need want to bounce ideas, man, I'm here. You are, Kelly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've been in the industry for over a decade now, so I know a lot of different ways to get around things. I know a lot of ways to automate. That's where I said earlier, you can run an Amazon on like an hour of work pretty much, because there's so much automation out there now. So, it's just trying to figure out what works the best for your business and go all in on that.
Yeah, no, I think I'll probably take you up on that too, because
Hey, anytime, man.
I mean, this is all kind of new to us for sure, and I know you're the man at it. So we'll continue to parlay these sanitizer things and these Suds community store back into marketing, back into doing it this new different way that everybody's doing it now. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
it'd be interesting. It'd be fun.
Well, man, I don't want to keep you long. We went for almost 3 hours, 2.5, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. It was fun though. I needed this, man. I'm so happy you asked me to do this because I've been in that grind and just being able to talk to people on a video call. I mean, I haven't even been able to jump on John's lives or anything this last week or so and really engage at all. So this was perfect timing. I appreciate it, man. It's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
I've been the same, man. I've been deep in a lot of stuff. I haven't brought my head up for much. So yeah, trying to get all kinds of projects and stuff complete. And next week's going to be even busier, but they'll start settling
perfect
down.
day today because this was like the day that I was finally like, okay, we don't have any orders we've placed or we've got them all taken care of. We're waiting on people to commit. Nothing needs to be ordered. It's all en route. Like today is my catch up day and my finally take a breath day. And Fridays are always good for that. So this was perfect timing, man.
Yeah, I try to make Fridays my catch up days and stuff that I didn't get to earlier in the week and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So, well, man,
good deal, man. Well, we'll get you on mine when I finally get it going.
Hopefully I'm not going to have to pivot. Hopefully we just keep going forward. But
you're pivoting, brother. You're pivoting right now. You're finding suppliers, finding more supply.
That is true. And finding new products.
Not to mention your story is just too good to not put it on a podcast, so it's gonna have to go on there. Even if I gotta change that day's topic away from pivoting, but we'll get Brandon on there.
I don't know. I'm sure I've pivoted quite a few times. I know I have. I mean,
I will have to tell you though, man, that 1% thing you did at Achiever Live, that stuck with me and Kelly as much, if not more, than any other thing from Achiever Live, because it was just so us. It's just like pie in the sky, everybody can dream and all that, but putting it in every day is what gets you there. I've often told people that try to get to that. I had a business partner one time, always wanted to do the $10,000 a month client for the marketing, and only needed 20 of them or whatever, right? And I'm like, that just seems like a real tough model, man. I would rather do this. So, you gotta, I don't know, just I forget kind of where I was going with that, but I know, seeing that 1%, like you can't get from Z without hitting B, C, and D.
Yeah.
To get to one or the other, but to jump from A to Z, I don't believe it ever happens. I think you miss them and you just don't realize you missed all those things until either you catch up and learn them or it bites you in the ass. One of the two. But that's what I like about the strategic growth. It doesn't put you at near the risk that some of these other ones do.
Yeah, man, we've done that, right? And like you sit there and if you scale and worry just about that 1%, well, at the end of the year, like I said, it's 365%, which is massive. Every business can take that kind of growth every day. But that 1%, just focusing, right? Like today, get 1 order. Tomorrow, get 2 orders and 3 orders. It's not hard. It's a damn game. That's all it is.
Well, just doesn't the math actually equate to more than 365% because the 1% daily is compounding now like interest does.
Yeah, but
so it's
most people can't do that.
By the time you really get to the end of the year.
Yeah. So most people can't.
1% they're bigger than you thought.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's a grounding type of theory,
Mm-hmm.
It's one that gives realistic expectations, realistic stuff. And, because so many times you're like, here's where I'm at and here's where I want to be. And it's like,
oh, we lost you on that one. Just froze up. Looks like you're about to drop a mixtape on you.
There it is. Kicked out again. But anyway.
All right,
cut off the internet.
Well, we'll wrap it up, man. I appreciate you being on this, and definitely have to have you on again for sure.
Anytime, man. I enjoyed it. It was all like I thought it would be. So take care this weekend, man. Have fun. Enjoy that restaurant you're going to go support.
Oh, yeah.
And, definitely I'll shoot you some ideas that I might need some help with on the e-com as we go forward here.
Definitely, man. Anytime. I appreciate it.
Sounds good, man. Tell Mandy I said hey.
Will do.